Welcome to the course of Linux operating system. Before we begin the course, let's have a look at what we are going to cover in this course. We will start with a very high-level view of the Linux operating system. We will look at all the different components of the operating system, and we will see what are the various places we use this operating system. Then we will learn about how to install Linux onto your computer. If you have a Linux computer, then fine. If you have Windows or Mac operating system, then what we are going to do is we are going to create a virtual machine and install Linux over there. If you do not have knowledge about these things, do not worry. We are going to cover all of this in this course. And if you do not have enough resources, do not worry. I'm going to tell you other methods where you can do all the labs of this course. Then we will go through all the major commands of the operating system, and we will learn about all which is necessary to become an administrator or a Linux system manager. Okay. So who this course is for? This course is for anybody who is in IT and has heard about Linux operating system or needs to learn it for their job, or you are an IT student, or you're someone who just want to explore and learn about Linux operating system. This course do not require any kind of prior knowledge of IT, so do not worry if you're totally new to this. We will take you from the beginning, and we will try to take you somewhere where you can actually be a system admin. Okay, so I'm really excited about this course, and just keep in mind, if you're new to this, do not panic. It's not a race. Take your time. We will cover each and everything, and we are going to be learning a lot of things. Thank you. Course outline. So what are the things which we are going to go through in this course? We will start with the basic introduction. Then we will go and look into Linux directories and a little bit of history. Then we will see how we can download, install, and configure a Linux machine. Then we are going to see how the file system and terminal work. Then we will see the working of files and directories, what are the commands, how we can access them. Then we will look at the system utility commands. Then we will look at networking. Then we will look at processes and memory. Then we will look at advanced features. So we will look at some of the advanced things also in this course. So module 1 will be very basic, where we will see what is Linux, definition of it, why are we using Linux. Then we will look at some of the brief history, major Linux families, Linux distributions, and how to choose a distribution for this course. Then we will look at differences between working in a command line interface and graphical user interface. In the next module, we will see how we can download, install, and then run it in a virtual machine. Then we will look at Linux Mint. Then we will look at how we can create our first virtual machine in VirtualBox. Then we will look at some additional settings of VirtualBox. Then if you cannot install VirtualBox and then run VMs over there, how we can work around in OnWorks. In the next module, we are going to have a look at Linux Mint desktop GUI. Then we will see the hierarchy of the file system, how the file system works in Linux. Then we will see how terminal works. Then we will go through basic commands of how to get into a directory, get out of a directory, what does sudo mean, and we will see how we can get more help. In the next module, we are going to look at how we can print contents of a file, how we can copy, move, rename. Then we will look at different kinds of editors in Linux, like the Nano editor, VI editor. Then we are going to see how we can search for files and directories, how we can locate them, how grep command works. Then we will see at pipe command, SCD command. Then we will see how we can check the file size, how we can compress and uncompress files. And in next module, we are going to look at system utility commands, how to check system info, system utilities like simple things like date, calendar, sleep commands. Then we will see how we can shut down our computer, clear the terminal, uptime, alias, user management. All these things will be covered in this course. And in the next module, we are going to have a look at networking, how to check our IP, how we can configure a bridge network so that our machine has the same IP as our network, how to configure firewalls and give permission to different ports. Then we will have a look at memory and process management, how we can kill a process, how to check free memory, how we can work with different processes which are running in the computer. Then we will go and learn how to do some advanced things, like we will see how we can run and compile a C program, then how we can create a Apache server and host our own website over here. Then we will look at SSH, how we can do SSH, and also we will have a look at how we can write our own shell scripts. So all this will be covered in this course. So let's just start and dive in. In the next few lectures, we are going to look at what is Linux, a little bit about Linux history, and why it is a very popular operating system, what are its advantages and all. If you're familiar with all of those things, you can skip the next few lectures and directly skip to the next section where we are installing the Linux operating system. It is not important to know all those things to become a Linux administrator, but all of these things are good to know. Just like Windows and macOS, Linux is also an operating system. So what an operating system does is that it sits on all the hardware of the computer underneath all the other application. What that means is, let's say I want to use an application in my computer, let's say a browser, or I want to use Excel. So all those different applications require hardware resources to run. So to manage all those hardware resources and to allocate them, that this software requires this resource right now, it does not require that. So all the management of all that hardware resources is done by the operating system. So operating system is a very important software in a computer. So you will say that, yes, I have used Windows, I have used macOS, but I have never used Linux before in my life. But let me tell you, you might have used Linux and you don't even know about it. Do you know all the Android devices are actually based on Linux? Also, a lot of smart devices like digital storage devices, cameras, wearables, video recorders, all of them actually are using a software which is based on Linux. A lot of smart cars these days, luxury cars, have an operating system under the hood which is actually based on Linux. So next time when you're using one of those devices, think about it, that that device might have Linux under the hood. A lot of people ask that when we have these popular operating systems like Windows and macOS, why should we use Linux? And that is a very good question. In recent times, because of some things which Linux brings to the table, it has become a very favorite OS of developers. And let's look at those things which make it different from other operating systems. One of the main reasons is that it is open source. What that means is that the source code of the OS is publicly available. So you can make changes into the OS, make it customized according to your needs, and then use it. So this flexibility is a very big reason that it is very popular amongst the developers. Other thing is that it is said to be more secure. How is it more secure? Because we have a lot more control over the operating system. So we can make certain kinds of rules for the users, customize it according to our need, and make it more secure by applying more layers of security. It also has a very large community of users which are developers. That is why if you encounter some kind of a problem, there would be a lot of support from the community who would have been working on that. That is why it is a very nice community to be in. If you have a problem, there will be someone, there might be someone with the same problem and they might have found a solution for that. That is why every day there are new solutions coming on the platform. Now let's look at industry, is how much Linux is being adopted by the industry in today's market. So In 2021, all the 500 supercomputers of the world are running on Linux. Other than two websites, all the websites among the top 25 websites are using Linux. Of the top 25 websites of the world, most of them are using Linux, just barring two. 96.3% of world's top 1 million servers are Linux based. 90% of the cloud infrastructure is powered by Linux. So Linux is very popular amongst all the hosts, all the major websites, and also the major cloud providers. So that is why if you are in IT industry, you must know about Linux. Let's look at history of Linux and how it came into existence as we know it. So Travers, when he was a student at university, wanted to create an operating system which was similar to Unix but was open to use. So he actually wanted to replicate a system which was very similar to Unix. So that is the reason why all the major commands which we use for Linux are similar to Unix. In 1991, he released his first version. Later, he released the polished version of the Linux kernel in 1994. Meanwhile, Richard Stallman of FSF, or Free Software Foundation, was making efforts to create a Unix-like operating system also. So he was creating utilities for operating systems, which was for a Unix-like system. Later, both of them combined their efforts and they came up with the Linux operating system as we know it today. Because Linux was open source, a lot of developers picked its kernel and created their own operating system. Soon, the market was flooded with a lot of operating systems which were based on Linux. Many operating systems which came into market survived, some did not, but today we have a huge variety of variations of the operating systems with different styles of menus, a lot of different features, so a lot of variety to choose from. So amongst the very popular ones are Ubuntu, Linux Mint, Fedora, Manjaro. So in the next lecture, we are going to look at the major families of Linux operating system and understand that how they differ amongst themselves. Major Linux families. So let's look at the major Linux families which are out there. So majorly there are three families which are very popular: Debian, Fedora, and SUSE. So popular operating systems like Ubuntu and Linux Mint are part of Debian. Other operating systems which are very popular in industry like Red Hat, CentOS, Oracle Linux are part of Fedora family. You might also have heard of OpenSUSE or SLES. They are part of the SUSE family. So I have just told you about these different OS, but you still do not know what is the difference between these three families. So there is not much difference between these families because behind they are using the same Linux kernel. But the major difference is of the package management system. So let's have a look at that. So all the operating systems of the Debian family use APT, or Advanced Packaging Tool, or DPKG. So these are the major two packaging tools used by these distributions. That is why they are part of Debian family. So what is a packaging tool? So if there is some software which we are creating, so we package it using this kind of packaging tool, that is APT, then it is part of Debian family. So for different families, we have different packaging tools. That is all the difference between them. So when you would be installing a software into your Debian system, what you will do is you will use the apt command. So one example of that is if you want to update your system, you will write sudo apt update. That will update your Debian systems. Okay, so let's have a look at other families. Let's see the Red Hat family. So Red Hat family mostly uses RPM or Red Hat Packaging Manager. or they might also use yum, that is yellowing updater modified. So these are the famous packages which Red Hat family uses. So let's say you want to update your Red Hat system. So what you will do is you will write a command like sudo yum update, and that will update your system. So if you want to understand how these different families work, that is the different package managers that they use. So there are a lot of other families like Arch Linux, SUSE, Ganto Linux, and they have their own packaging managers. So that is why they are called different families. Other than that, all of them use similar commands to do all the other tasks. If you have to open a file, the command is same. If you want to delete a file, the command is same. Only while you are installing something or updating something, you will use the package manager of that particular family. I think now you must be more clearer how the different families of Linux work. So there are a lot of popular distributions of Linux out there. Ubuntu, CentOS, Debian, Fedora, Mint, Xubuntu, Arch Linux, OpenSUSE, Red Hat. So you want to know about them. You might say, how can I understand all of these complex things? Nothing is complex amongst these. So what you can do is you can just whatever name you like, you can just Google that, read about it, install one or two versions of Linux, try them out, get familiar with them. And if you don't want to do that, don't do that. Just pick one Linux. Does not matter, because under the hood they all use the same kernel, and you will be doing the similar kinds of things with all of them most of the times. Of course, if there are different operating system, they are designed for some specific purpose, but it's not like you can host a website in one but you cannot in other. So they are not very vastly, like drastically something is changing amongst them, but they're designed for some particular task. So do not get worried about different operating system flavors. Just pick your favorite one. Just pick anyone. Okay, so if you're still confused about which distro to use, please do not be confused. So you can go around Google and see which distro you like. But if you are thinking it will take a lot of time, I'm too new to this, I'm unable to decide, I'm confused, do not be. I will tell you what kind of a distro I will be using. So I will be using a Debian based distro, that would be Ubuntu or Mint. So if you're still confused, you just pick Ubuntu or Mint for yourself. So it's not mandatory to use them. You can use any distro of your liking, but it will help like if sometime I might be installing something over there or updating, so that will help you because you will have to write the same command. Otherwise you can use any distro of your liking. So what we are going to do in the next lecture, what we are going to do is we are going to install Linux on our own computer. So if you have a spare computer where you can install it, good. If you do not know, then what we are going to do is we are going to create a virtual machine in our computer, and there we are going to install Linux. Do not be worried if you do not know anything about these things. I will walk you through each and every step. One of the differences between other servers and Linux servers is that Linux servers do not always have a graphical user interface. Compared to other servers like Windows servers, where you always have an interface where you can just look at the icons, click on them and navigate through that. So that makes it very easy. So I can just look on these visible elements and understand what they might be doing. Like this looks like a mail. So this might be a application where I can send and receive mails. If I look at this cross button, this might be for closing this application. So it is very easy for us to understand, and any new user can spend a few minutes inside any operating system and understand how it might be working. Whereas when we have a command line interface, it becomes extremely difficult, because if you do not have prior knowledge of those commands, you cannot just navigate through the system and understand what is going on over there. So you will need to know all those commands, and that is why it is a little bit difficult to work around. That is why you need to learn all of those things. Most of you doing this course are here probably for the same reason, to learn all those commands. So we will have a deep look into all the major commands and try to become a server admin at the end of this course. So one question arises that why do we have command line interface, and why can we not have a graphical interface when we do have graphical interface for the consumer versions of Linux? So the argument provided is that if you have a graphical interface, it does make things easier for you to understand, but the graphical interface takes a lot of memory and other computer resources. So why to waste resources on these kinds of things rather than these resources should be used for our applications to run? So this is one of the main reasons, and other reasons are like it is more less prone to mistakes. So when you are very hands-on with all the commands, so there are very little chances that you will write a wrong command and something wrong will happen with the system, though human error can always happen. So that is why learning commands also gives you a confidence that whatever I am doing, like you are very confident, yes, I know this, you're just not playing around with the systems. So let's try to learn all those commands. So for that, we need to first install Linux into our computer. So let's install and quickly start learning all those commands. Let's install. In this module, we are going to install Linux in your computer, and then we are going to do the later modules where we will run all the different commands and learn a lot about Linux. So if you have a spare computer lying around, you can install Linux over there. But what if you just have one computer where you are running your primary OS and you cannot install Linux over there? So I'm going to tell you a workaround. What we are going to do is we are going to create a virtual machine inside your existing computer and install Linux over there. So how does that work? Let me tell you about it briefly. So we have softwares like VirtualBox and VMware. These softwares are called virtualization softwares. So what these softwares do is that we have all this hardware in our computer, like the RAM, the CPU, the hard disk. All of those hardwares our operating system manages and gives to different softwares which we are running. But we cannot have two operating systems over there. So yeah, there is a problem. So how this hypervisor software helps? Hypervisor is the virtualization software. So how does that help is that it will take a little bit part of the hardware, whatever we will allocate, like 1 GB RAM, 2 GB RAM, plus some hard disk and plus some of the CPU. So it will create a machine like it will behave as it is a isolated computer, and when we will try to install Linux over there, the Linux operating system will think it is a computer and then it will grab all that hardware. So this hypervisor actually manages the hardware in such a manner that it can create a computer inside the computer. Okay, so even if you did not understand it, don't worry, we have to learn Linux, so no problem over there. Okay, so what it will do is it will create a computer inside your computer. So what are the things we need to keep in mind while installing a virtualization software is that if you have 8 GB or more memory, very well. Even if you have 4 GB of memory, virtualization will be possible. But if less than 4 GB, it would be very difficult to run virtual machines over there, because you know in very little of hardware you cannot do a lot of things, because we have to have resources for our main computer, and we also need to have resources for the computer we are going to create inside it. Okay, so that's all. Next, which software should we download? So I'm going to use a VirtualBox. Why I'm going to use VirtualBox? Because first of all, it is free and it is open source, and secondly, it supports a lot of OS. So it has a very good support base. So you can also install and run other operating systems, different flavors of Linux or Windows. You can even make a Mac machine. You can do a lot of things in VirtualBox. So what we are going to do now is we are going to go to VirtualBox website and then install it in our computer. So let's do that. You can Google VirtualBox website, or you can directly go to virtualbox.org. Over here, there would be a big banner of VirtualBox. Just click over there. It will redirect us to the page where all the listings of VirtualBox versions is there. So whatever operating system you're using, just select that. So I'm using Mac OS, so I'm selecting Mac OS. If you are using a Windows machine, just select Windows over there. Okay. Okay, then it is just asking me if I want to allow this website to download something. I will just allow it. So it will start downloading for me. When the downloading is finished, we just need to install this software. You just have to follow the simple steps of installing any software. Nothing else need to be done. Let's now download Linux ISO, which we are going to install in our virtual machine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to download Linux Mint ISO. So what I need to do is I will go to Linux Mint website. You can simply Google and then go to the Linux Mint website. Then click on the download button. Scroll a little bit. So here it is telling us different versions. I will just simply select the Cinnamon one. And here all the specifications are there. So it is a 64-bit software. You can select any of these servers. All of these servers will be you will be able to download the ISO. I will just select the first one and my download will start. Okay. Now let's create our first virtual machine, install Linux over there and start working with it. So what we need to do is open VirtualBox application, then go to new. Now it will give us a prompt and ask us to give a name to the machine. I'm just simply naming it Linux. Okay. So you can, when we selected Linux, it will just automatically decide a folder for us. You can change the location where this machine is getting created. Okay, it will automatically detect the operating system you're trying to install. If you will name it something else, we will need to select it. But if you are naming it Linux, it will just detect that you are making a Linux machine. I can just name it Mint also. Then also it will understand that I'm trying to create a Linux machine, which is Ubuntu based. So actually Linux Mint is Ubuntu based. So that is why it is directly selecting Ubuntu from the option. Okay. Now let's continue it. Now we have to select the amount of memory we want to give it to this machine. So you need to give it at least 1 GB of RAM. You can give more also. So I have a lot of RAM, so I'm just giving it 2 GB of RAM. So it just works smoothly. Now again, I will click on continue. So do not change anything over here. Just by default, it is selected create a virtual hard disk now, and just let it be and click on create. This setting also, it is asking us the kind of disk image we want. Just do not change it. By default, it would be VDI. Just let it be VDI. And we are keeping it dynamically allocated. That means that it could be, the size could be varied. That is dynamically allocated. Whereas in fixed size, we have a fixed size of the hard disk. So I will just select dynamically allocated, because if it does not require, I do not want to fix space for it. So now it is just telling where this would be created. So it would be created in this location. So you can check where it would be created in your computer. And then you can also change the size. So by default, it has kept it at 10 GB. You can do it 20 GB, 30 GB as per what you think you can give. But the minimum requirement would be like 8 or 10 GB. I will also not make any much changes. I'll just make it 20 GB because I have extra space. Okay. So then I will click on create. So it has created a machine. That means it has allocated resources which are virtual resources but will act like a real computer, where I will have hard disk, RAM, storage, all of those things. If I want to change any details of this machine, I can right click on this machine and then click on settings. Okay, over here we can click on different kinds of settings. If we want to make advanced changes to this machine, we can make them. Like there are a lot of options in general, like I can change the name of the machine. I can click on advanced and create snapshots and other things of this machine. But right now I will click on system, and then here you can see that what are the peripherals attached to this machine, like floppy, optical drive, hard drive. If I don't need an optical drive, I can remove it. Okay, these are the kind of things which you can change. I can click on processors, and then see how many processors are allocated to this machine. Currently it has one CPU, but I can increase it. So if you have the capacity of increasing it to 2 vCPUs, you can do that. You need not make it 5 or 10 CPUs. You do not require much of CPUs, but 2 vCPUs is good for smooth functioning of the machine. Then I will click on display, and here I will just increase the video memory to the 128 MB, because that would make it the graphics to be working smoothly, so there is not much lag while using the machine. Okay, so these are the basic settings which we need to do. Now when I will boot to this machine, I want the OS to be installed over there. So what I'm going to do is I will click on storage, and I will just mount my operating system as a drive over here. So how will I do that? Here you can see there are different buttons. Just click on this plus button. I will click a optical drive, and here I will click on the add button, and you can see there are a lot of operating systems which I have in my computer. So if when you have downloaded Linux Mint, you will just navigate to the place where the operating system has been downloaded. So most probably it would be in downloads. Just select the Linux Mint, the version which we have downloaded, and then click on open, and then click on choose. Okay, so it will just add it as an optical drive. So when we will start the computer for the first time, it will install this software from here, like we actually install a software on a physical computer. Same way it will be able to install it from here, because it will think that I have entered a CD which has Linux Mint on it. Okay, I will click on OK. It will save all the changes which we made, like we increased the video RAM, we increased the number of vCPUs, and we have added the optical drive where our image of the operating system is there. Okay, so in the next video what we are going to do is we are going to boot the machine and install the operating system. We have created our first virtual machine, and we have made the desired changes into the machine which we wanted to do, like adding an extra vCPU, and we have also attached an optical drive which has Linux Mint image on it. So when we will boot the machine for the first time, it will think like we are actually opening a computer with the disk drive of Mint inside of it, and it will show us the menu where we can install the operating system from there. So I will simply boot the machine. So you can see there is this window where it is showing us the boot options over here. So it is showing us that all these options. I will just simply select Start Linux Mint. So it is loading the Linux Mint operating system over here. So a lot of Linux based operating system have this feature where you can look around the software without installing it. So here you can browse all over here, like this is the menu where all the other softwares are there. This computer button is there, so all the directories and folders are over here. It is very similar to Windows, so it is not very much difficult to understand how the UI works, but the main thing is to learn the commands over here. So let's install this. So how we are going to install it? We just will simply click on the install Linux Mint. So it will ask us to select our language. I will select English. So it will ask us to select the keyboard layout. So I will use the US English keyboard. You select whichever keyboard layout you are using. So here it is asking that if you want to install all the multimedia plugins to run all the softwares. So you can click it also. That is not required for this course, but if you want to select it, just simply select it and click on continue. Next, it will ask us if we want to do a fresh install or if we want to do something else. Just simply select erase all and do a fresh install and click on install now. So it will give us a warning. We just have to click on continue. So it just gives a warning that it will erase all the data. So in this machine, nothing else is there. It is a virtual machine. I have no worry. But if you're installing on a computer where important files are there, be worried, take a backup, then only install any new operating system on your computer. Now we have to select the region where we are in. So I'm currently in India, so I'm selecting India. You can select your country. So the time would be according to your country. That is why that helps. Now I have to create a user. So I will just name the user Ankush. Now it is asking us to set up a password. I will just give a simple password. You can give whatever password you want to give. Repeat the password. Then click on continue and it will start installing the software over here. Okay, so you have to just wait while the software gets installed, and when it is done, we'll start exploring. In this video, I would be talking to you about some additional settings you can do in your VirtualBox so that you can work in a better manner and a flawless way. So what you can do is, when you have created your machine, you can go open your machine, and in your machine, what you can do is you can click on devices, and then you can click on shared clipboard. Here it would be default disabled, but you can click on host to guest, guest to host, or bidirectional. Just select bidirectional. Also, what you can do is in devices, you can go to drag and drop and enable it. Okay, so what this will do is it will enable dragging and dropping of some files from your host operating system to the virtual operating system, which is this Mint OS. Other thing what you need to do after this step is you can also copy paste by selecting the shared clipboard. So you will be able to copy paste from guest OS to the main OS and from main OS to the guest OS. But the only thing is that you need to do one more step. What you need to do is go into devices, click on insert guest additions, CD image. And one thing you need to remember, you need to mount a disk if it is not already there. So if you had already removed the disk, you will again need to add a disk by going into virtual machine settings. Otherwise, if a disk drive is already there, you need not do anything. Just follow the steps in this video. It will ask for my password. Authenticate. So it will take a little while. After that, it will ask you to restart your machine. Once the machine is restarted, you will be able to get benefit of this extra benefits where you will be able to copy paste some small information like some command or some URL or these kinds of things from your host machine to the guest machine. So let's say you wanted to copy something from your host machine to the guest machine, or from the guest machine to the host machine. What can you do? You can just go anywhere now. Like I will just go to my main machine, which is the host machine. I will copy a big command, which should be in my notes on somewhere from internet, wherever it is. I will just copy it, copy, and then I will go to my virtual machine, that is the guest machine. I will go there, click over here, and I will just paste it. So you can see I'm easily able to copy things from my main machine into the virtual machine, paste them, and use them however I want them to be. Okay, so this is a nice little trick which you can use. So you can do other things also, like dragging and dropping stuff and other things also. After doing this, as I told you, just select the menus the way I have told you to, and you will be able to do all these things. This will make your virtual life, that is using virtual machines and all those things, much more smoother and easier. You do not have access to a Linux machine and your computer does not have enough resources to create a virtual machine. What do you do now? So what you can do is you can go to OnWorks website. So it is a very nice website. The URL is onworks.net. So just go over there, and what it helps us to create a virtual machine and directly let us use it from our browser. So we need not do anything. Just go to onworks.net, and then you just have to scroll a little bit and select operating system of your choice. Like you can use Zorin OS or any other OS. I will simply select Ubuntu because it is a very easy to use and familiar operating system. So I would say you can go with the operating system like Ubuntu or Elementary OS. Just click on Run Online. So it will take a little while to start. So after we click on Start button, it will take a few seconds. It will just show us a timer also. But after that, a machine would be created for us where we can try all of our commands. So it's saying ready. Okay, I will just click on enter. So there might be some ads, just close those ads. And again, a little bit of settings it is required to do. So after it is done, we will be able to enter our machine. So try it out. If you do not have enough resources, just go to browser, search OnWorks website and just try creating a machine. It does not cost anything for trying out, so do not worry about that. It's just free, and I did not even needed to sign in or do any of those things. And you can see this machine is up and ready for me. It's just showing me some ads on the sides. So what I can do now is I can just open terminal over here. I'll just right click and just open in terminal. So see, the terminal is working fine. I can just do any simple command, and see, it is just showing me that my username is OnWorks. That is the user. Let's just create a file. So I just created a file, and you can see this file has came over here. So it just works fine like a proper computer. Just try it out. So I will see you in the next video, where you would have set up your virtual machine either in your computer or online, and we will start working with our commands and learn Linux. When you first log into your machine, this is the screen with which you would be welcomed. Here it is saying welcome to Linux Mint. One advice I would like to give you guys is that whenever you are creating a virtual computer, try to give as much of RAM as you can give. If you have 4 GB or less RAM in your computer, you do not have much choice, but try to give 2 GB of RAM to the virtual machine. If you have 8 GB or higher, you can easily give 4 GB of RAM, and that is sufficient. You need not give more than 4 GB of RAM for the tasks which we are going to do in this course. So let's look around into the UI of this operating system and see what all things are there for us to see. So I'll just close this welcome message. This is just welcoming us into the system. So on the bottom left corner, you can see there is a M, like the start menu in the Windows. Here we also have a menu. So all the applications are here. You can directly navigate into them. There are some quick shortcuts like to power off, restart, lock the screen, to some directories, to the terminal or the command line, which we would be using extensively in this course. Then we have a settings menu, and we have a web browser and other things. So let's see what else we have. On the right hand side, we have a clock, then we have a battery indicator, and we have other notifications like sound, network, and other things. Just like Windows, it is very similar to that. So here we have the desktop. You can just right click and change the desktop as we do in other operating systems. On the top left corner, you can see there is a computer folder, just like computer or my computer on Windows computers. And it is very similar in appearance to Windows in those manners. So let's try to open one of these folders like the computer. So here you can see we have all the things which drives which are attached to this computer, and on the top right corner we have the cross button to close the application. We also have the maximize and minimize button, which we have in the other operating systems similar to that. We also have a minimize button. With using this minimize button, we can just minimize the application, and we'll get sitting in the bottom taskbar of the computer. I can just click on the icon on the taskbar, and again this application will come on the screen. So to maximize it, I will just use this maximize button, and I can also resize it by using this button and make it smaller. So these are very basic things which you must be knowing. So whenever we are in some directory, on the left hand side we have all these shortcut icons from which we can directly go into various directories present in our computer. We can sort them in different manners. All those things which are very standard. If you have used a computer in your life, you must be very familiar with those things. That is why I'm not explaining them a lot. Some nice things here are like this slide button, which you usually don't find in Windows. You can just resize any icons. So let's see the settings menu a little bit. So I will click on this M button and then click on this settings icon. So the settings menu is very similar to any Mac machine. So because they are very similarly designed, that is why the settings menu is very similar in most of Linux distributions. Whereas Mint is specifically designed for the consumers of Windows computers. That is why we have cross button and all those minimize, maximize buttons very similar to Windows over here. So we can do different kinds of settings like time and date, applications. We can even change background from here. So I will just click on it. and just select some other background. So you can import your own images also over here if you want. So you can select a wallpaper from here, and that would be reflected in the background. So you can choose anything which you like, and that's all. So you can tinker around with different settings. You can play around with menus, check them out, see how they look, how it is different from your operating system which you are already using. Spend 15 minutes, half an hour, get familiar with these things. Then we will get into the commands, the next thing. Let's look at Linux directories. So all operating systems have a lot of data, which would be computer generated data, a lot of user data, log files, and every other things you will connect peripherals, various kinds of data would be generated. So every operating system has a manner of keeping these files in its directories. So like Windows has its own system, Linux, which was designed to be very similar to Unix, it has its own system. So it is very similar to the Unix based systems. If you have used a Mac operating system, it is very much similar to it. Linux follows file system hierarchy standard. So here what we have is the main root directory, and all the other directories are inside of it, like the home, boot, sbin, bin, user, var, dev, etc, opt, media. Depending on the distribution you are using, there might be some other folder also, like the cd-rom or the run folders. Okay, let's start by understanding what each of these directories mean and what are the kinds of files which are stored inside them. So the root folder is defined by the /, and what are the kinds of files it has? It is like the top level view, and all the folders are inside of it. All the other directories are inside it, which are the bin, dev, etc, and other directories. Next is the bin directory. What does the bin directory has? Bin is short for binaries. So it contains all the binaries, which are the program files or the applications which are needed to run the operating system, like the ls or the cat program, which is needed to list out all the files or to print out all the things which are inside a file. So these all which are system related files, binaries, are stored inside this folder. Next is dev. So all your devices like your keyboard, your mouse, your webcam, every of those peripherals which you connect to your computer would be inside those folder. So in Linux, everything is defined as a file. So all those drivers for these files would also all be in this folder. Next is etc. So there is a lot of debate about what does etc stand for. Some say it is this, that. Some say it is just etc. So Linus, who was the creator of the Linux kernel, himself told that it actually means etc only. So all the extra files which you would not, which we don't know where they would go, would be in this folder. So mostly it contains system-wide files which would be common for all the users. So like if we have a particular setting or file which would be for a specific user, it would be in the user's name. But if there is a file or a configuration which is there for all the users, which is common, like the disk configuration files, valid user lists, groups, Ethernet, hosts, etc. All those things are inside etc. Next is lib. What does lib has? Lib is short for libraries. So all the libraries file would be inside it. So what these files are used for, they're used by other files or programs which are in bin or sbin. So any program which requires some data which would be inside the library file, so they can just access it and use it. Next is boot. So what does a boot has? Boot has all the booting system required files which are required by the computer when it boots up. So all those files would be inside it. Next is home. It is very important to understand how home works because all the user files and directories are inside home. So if any user is there, its data would be in the name of the user. So if I create a user named Ankush, his data would be inside the folder Ankush and would not be accessible by other users which might be in the computer. So user 1 will not be able to access files of user 2, and user 2 will not be able to access files of user 1. So they are protected so that multiple users can use the same computer, whereas an administrator might be able to have rights to access all the files of all the users. So we will look into it a little bit later. Next is MNT. So what MNT does is it stores all the files like for floppy, for CD-ROM, all those drives and devices are inside MNT. So if you connect any kind of a device in your computer which is a storage device, it will just detect it and it would be inside this folder. Next is proc, which contains all the process files, system files, which would be like a process number. If you want to know it, it would be inside proc. Other kinds of logs would be stored over here, which are system required files. Next is proc. So what does proc has? Proc has all the system created files. So all the process files, process numbers, IDs, those would be here. All the log files which other things will create would be here. So if we want to get information about the running processes and other kinds of details, we can find them inside the proc. Next is temp. So what does temp folder contain? So temp has all the temporary files. Let's say I'm editing a Word file, and while I'm not saving it, it will keep on saving all those files in a temporary folder inside temp. So when I finally save it, it would be converted into a proper saved file wherever I want to save it. So whenever I will reboot the computer, these temp files would be erased. Sometimes some temp files might be stuck inside the computer, but mostly they are just erased. Next is USR. So what does USR has? USR is used for miscellaneous purposes and can be used by many users. So many users can access it and keep their files. You can have logs, shared files, library files, etc. inside of USR. So it is just the user files. Next is VAR. VAR stands for versatile length. So if we want to have folders where the files would be of varied length and we do not know how much data they might have, we will put it in them, which could be some log files, some print files, and other kinds of such files. Next is SBIN. So what does SBIN has? SBIN stands for system binaries. Similar to the binaries, it has all the binaries related to system files like fdisk. So it will list out disk details. We have ipconfig, which will list out the configuration of our internet and IP, etc. So all these kinds of files are stored in SBIN. Next is kernel. So kernel just simply contains all the kernel files. So they are just stored over here. Next is media. So nowadays we have a media folder. So nowadays computers can detect what kind of peripheral or a device you're attaching to your computer. They automatically detect it, like a floppy disk or a mouse, keyboard. So that's why, because they auto detect it. So we have this new folder named media where all those devices you might find. To start working with commands in Linux, we need to first open the terminal. When we would be working on a server, we will always have the terminal open in front of us. But because it is UI based, so we need to open the terminal first. Okay, so how can I open the terminal? There are various ways in Linux Mint with which you can open the terminal. On the bottom toolbar, there would be a terminal icon over here by default. Another way is by clicking on the M button, and then you can find the terminal icon over here, or here in the search bar you can search for terminal and it will show you terminal over here. Another way of accessing terminal is by right clicking and then clicking on open in terminal. So you can open terminal from anywhere inside the system. So you are in any directory, you can simply right click and open the terminal from there. So let's just open terminal for once and see what do we see. So when I open the terminal for the first time, this is the screen which I will see. Okay, so let's type in our first command and see. So the first command I'm going to put in is whoami, WHOAMI, without any spaces, and then press enter. So it will return the name of the user with which I have logged in. So I have logged in with user Ankush, that is why it is showing that. So you can create multiple users in Linux as in any other operating system, and you can log in with that. And to check with which user you are logged in, you can just simply do whoami. Now let's see one more command. The next command is pwd. I will simply write pwd and press enter. So what pwd does is it shows us the present working directory. That means the folder in which we are currently in. So currently we are in the home folder of Ankush. So it gives the full path where this folder is present. Okay. So next what we are going to do is we are going to use the ls command. What ls command does is it lists out all the files and folders which are present in the directory which we are into. So we are currently in a home directory of Ankush. So when I will press ls, it should show all the folders and files which are in Ankush. So here it is showing we have desktop, documents, downloads, music, pictures, public, and all the other folders which we have over here. So this way we can list out all the folders. Now, what if I wanted to go inside any of this folder? What I would use is the cd command. So I would just write cd, which means change directory, and then give space and write the name of the directory I want to get into. And then press enter. Then that directory would be opened. pwd home/ankush/music. So that is the full path of this place where I am. In shortcut, whenever we have to tell the home directory, it is represented by this equivalence sign. So if I have to go to the home directory directly, I can simply put cd and press enter, and it will directly take me to the home directory. Okay, so we will look more into how we can use cd and other commands in the upcoming videos. So we just looked at the ls command, which lists out all the directories and files inside the present working directory. Now let's have a look at some variations of this command. So if we want to see the files inside the folders which are inside our present working directory, we will use ls space -r. So let's have a look how it works. I'll write ls space -R, press enter. So you can see it is listing out all the directories like desktop, documents, downloads, music, and it is also telling me what are the files inside these directories. So it will list out the other directories and files inside each of these subdirectories which I am currently. So currently I am in the home folder. Inside it we have all these folders, and it is also showing the files inside of these subfolders. So let's look at another variation of ls command, ls space -a. What this command does is it shows us all the hidden files also. So the computer has a lot of hidden files, which might be some log files or some history files. So all of those files which are not generally required by the user, but they are being created by the operating system in the background, we can see all those files also. Let's look at the cd command. I already told you that we can use the cd command, which is short for change directory, to go inside and out of directories. But there are a lot of variations which we can use with this cd command. So if I want to go to the root directory, I will just write cd/. If I want to go to my home directory, I will directly do cd, or I can write cd equivalence. Now, why do we have these two options to go to home directory? What I can do is, if I want to go to switch my directory to a directory which is inside the home directory, and it is a very long name, I will just write the equivalence sign to denote that it is inside the home directory. So let's use it and see how it works. Currently I'm in home directory. I know this because we have this equivalence sign. Whenever we have this equivalence sign, that means we are currently in the home directory. Still, if I want to check it, I can use pwd to check my present working directory. It will show that I am inside the home directory of Ankush. Okay, so let's switch to some other directory I want to go to. I will just use the cd command. So I do not know any names of the directories yet. So what I will do, I will just do ls, and this will show me all these different directories. So if I want to go to public, I will just write cd space, and I will write the name of pub, and I can just press tab, and this will just fill the rest of the command for me. So you can use the tab button while doing writing these kinds of command. This is a very good trick which you can use. And let's press enter. So now I'm inside the public directory. Now if I want to go to music directory again, one way is I can write the complete path of the music directory. That is, I will write cd/home/Ankush/music. And then press enter. Then I will be in the music directory. But you see, I had to write this whole name over here. If I want to go to some other directory, let's say I want to go into pictures directory, I again need to write this whole name. So rather than doing that, I can just simply do a shortcut, that is cd space. The shortcut for home directory is this equivalent sign slash. I will write DIC, press tab, fulfill my command and press enter. So you can see, instead of writing all of it on home slash Ankush, I just give this equivalent sign and it understood that I want to go inside the home directory, and inside that I want to go to this subdirectory pictures. Okay, so if I want to directly go to home directory, I can cd, or I can use cd and this equivalent sign. Okay, now let's say I want to go to the root directory. What I will do is cd space slash, press enter. This way I will be in my root directory. Root directory is the main directory where all the other directories are present of the computer. Okay, so now let's see, what if I want to just come out of this particular folder? If I want to do that, I will put cd space dot dot. I will get out of this directory, but this is the root directory and root directory is the base directory. I cannot come out of it, so I'm still in the root directory. So let me ls and see what are the other directories over here. So you can see these are all the directories over here. So let me go into one of these directories, like the home directory. So if I want to move one directory up, I will simply use cd space dot dot, and I will be in the home directory now. See, earlier I was in the home directory of Ankush. Now I am in the main home directory where all the other users folder could be there. So now I'm back into the home directory of Ankush. I can ls and see what are all other directories. Let me go to the music directory. If I want to just move one directory inside of directory, I need not give the full path. I can simply write cd space and then write the name of the directory I want to move into, like music, and then I will be inside the music directory. Let's say I want to move out of two directories. I can simply cd space dot dot slash dot dot, enter. So you see, I came out of music, then I came out of Ankush also. Now I am in the main home directory. So this way you can run the cd command and you can try different things, try them out and understand how you can go in and out of directories. It will get a little bit getting used to. Let's continue with the cd command and let's try to open a folder which has a space in its name. So as you can see on desktop, I have created a folder named new folder which has a space in its name. So let's open this by doing cd desktop slash new space folder. So it is saying that too many arguments. Why is it saying so? So whenever we are using cd command, it tries to read the string. So when it reads, whenever it encounters a space, the string is broken. So it is unable to understand that there are two different strings. So it is unable to open that file. So how can we overcome this problem? What we can do is we can do cd desktop space. Then I will give single quotes and write new space folder and quotes and enter. So when I write the name of the folder with quotes, it will read all of it inside like it is one string. So it will be able to understand that what I'm trying to say and it will be able to open the folder. So another way of doing that is if I use a slash. How do we do that? Let me get out of this folder once. Okay, again let's try to go into the new folder inside desktop, cd space desktop. So now I will write new, I will give this slash and then write folder space folder. So you can see now also it opened the folder. So whenever we give this a slash, it will just ignore that we are breaking the string and it will just read it as one string and it will be able to open the folder. Now we can move around different folders and we can come out of them and do a lot of things. Now, how to create folders using command line? Let's see. So the command is very simple, mkdir space, whatever name folder I want to create, I can just create. So I will just name it new folder, and I will press enter. So a new folder is created, and where the new folder is created? Wherever I would be currently. So I'm currently in the home folder. So inside home folder, a new folder is created named new folder. How can I check that? I will just ls and see what all folders are here. So these are all the existing folders, and you can see the new folder which I created is also here in this, listed in these folders. Okay, now we have created a folder. How to delete a folder? So it is very simple. I will just write rm dir space name of the folder, new folder, press enter. So how do I get a confirmation that the new folder has been deleted? Let's list out all the folders again, and you can see that from the list of all these folders, the new folder is gone. So we are perfectly able to delete the folder. We just saw how we can create folders, how we can remove folders. Now let's see how we can create files. So we will use touch command to create files. I will simply write touch space name of the file I want to create. Let's create file 1, and whenever we are creating file, we need to give the extension of the file. So I'm creating a text document, so let's write .txt and press enter. So my new file file1.txt has been created. So let's see if this file has been created. So I will just ls, and you can see all these folders are listed over here. So you can see I can identify which are files, as they have an extension also, and it is also color coded. So all the files are in different color and the folders are in different color. So I know that file1.txt is now existing in this folder. Let's see how I can delete a file. So to remove a file, simply I will write rm space name of the file file1.txt. So remember, always dealing with files, we have to always use extensions. That is the rule. But when we are using the graphical user interface, we need not worry about extensions, because most of the time computers take care of those things. So I've removed this file. To confirm, I will just list out all the items in this folder, ls. So you can see all the folders are here, but the file which was created earlier is not listed among these files and folders in this directory. So let's look at sudo. Sudo is used for super user do command. What does this command do? So as a user, we may not have access to a lot of files. We might not have different kinds of permission to edit or make changes to a particular kind of file. We can use sudo command, and we will have all the privileges which an administrator has, and it can do anything which we want to do in a computer. So let's say I do not have the permission to update the computer as a normal user. So I can use sudo and then update the computer, and I will be able to update it. So as you know, as a normal user, I do not have permissions to update this computer, but as a sudo user, I can do that. So I will do sudo apt update and then press enter. It will ask me for the password. As I have set password for Ankush, I will just give that password and press enter, and it will start updating the computer. This way, if you want to open a file and make some changes into that, I can use sudo command, and then I can write sudo nano and then write the name of the file, and I will be able to open and make changes to that file. Sometimes you might have read-only permissions, so you can read a file, but you cannot edit that file. So all these permissions which administrator has given you, you can bypass those by using sudo command, but you might need to enter a password if that has been set over here. Another good way is to not write sudo command each and every time. What I can do is I can log in as a super user. So how can I do that? First, I need to set up the sudo user. How I can set up that is by using the su command. And once I have set up using the su command, it will ask me for the password 1234. And then what it will happen is that I will be logged in as. So it is saying authentication failed because the password which I entered for the su was wrong. So let's again try it. So I will try it with the password I have set. Okay, so now I'm logged in as root. Okay, so now I can do any kind of change I want to do over here. And now all the commands which I will enter would be as the sudo user. But generally we do not log in as sudo user and do all the changes, because there are some things you do not want to do as the sudo user. So only log in as sudo user if you really want to do anything which requires those kinds of privileges. One more thing I wanted to tell you is, like, if you haven't set up a password for SU, you can set up it first time when you're using the super user. But another way is you use the sudo command. You can log in with a su using the sudo command also, sudo su. So now it will ask you for the password of the user you are. So if you have yourself created this machine and you have set the password for this particular user, so you just need to give that particular password. That is the password you give when you switch on this computer or this particular machine. So just give that password and you would be logged in as super user from this account also. So this is another way of logging into as a super user. Getting help. So we have started working with bash commands in Linux systems and we are trying to get familiar with those. But what if we get stuck somewhere? So we can obviously Google, but what if we are working on a server system? We just remember the command, but we do not know exactly how to use it. So what we can do is we can use these commands like the help command. So what help commands helps us is by telling us how we can use that command, ways in which we can do that in bash shell. Other than that, we also have man command, which will open the manual pages of that particular command. So we can know a little bit more about that command, how that command is used, history of that command, who created that command, a lot of extra information which might come in handy while working in the system. So to use the help command, we need to first write the command which we want to get help on. Let's say we want to get help on ls command, ls space dash dash help, enter. So it will give us all this information. So I can just scroll and see what other information it is giving us. Like it is telling us that we can use these different extensions like -r and other things with ls to like reverse the files. So you can reverse the order of in which the files are being shown to us. So all those different ways in which this command could be used and how this command helps us is listed over here. So my screen is very full, so let's just try to clear my screen. I will just write clear, C-L-E-A-R. This will just clear my screen and I can write my commands now. Okay, now let's see the man command. So how man command works is I will write man space and I will write the name of the command which I want to get help on, that is ls, and press enter. So it will open the manual of ls command. Here we have all the information which you might ever need about the ls command. Okay, so there is a lot of information about this command. We have information like the author of the command, who created this command, and reporting bugs and copyright, etc. So all these kinds of information is over here in the manual pages. So what to do if I want to quit the manual page? I will simply press Q and I will be out of the manual page. This way I can get information about any page. Let's do it for one more command, like so you can see I just did the man command with mkdir. It is giving me information about mkdir. I will just scroll on the bottom. Again, you can see all the author, bug reporting, copyright, and all those information. So just try this out, try this with different commands, try to check manual pages, try to use help command. For most of the bash commands, you will find manual pages over there. But if you do not find manual pages over there, you can simply Google and know more about it. One more way is to go to linux.org. This is a very good website where you will have a lot of information about these things. It is a place where we have forums, we can join them and where we can discuss about all those things. And what else we can do is we can go on tutorials and see the tutorials. I will click on Linux tutorials, beginner tutorials. I will scroll and I will just click on one of these tutorials and see what it offers us. So you can see it is telling us how to use a particular command, how to get more information with Linux by using the man command, how we can use it, like we can write man mkdir and it will tell us more about mkdir command. So this way you can get a lot of help by using this website. We have a very good information over here. So now let's look at how we can see the contents of a file and how we can print something or push data inside a document. So we use cat command to display out all the contents of a file, and we use echo. By this command we can actually print out stuff, and we can also push data inside a file. So we will have a look how we can do that. Currently I am in desktop, so I will just ls and see all the contents over here. So I have doc1.txt, which is a text document, so I can just look at what are the contents of it. So what do we do in UI? We just go to the location of the file and we double click on it, and the file opens in front of us. So I can read whatever is written inside the file, like it is saying, hello, this file does not have much data, feel free to add more information over here. I can simply write okay, and I can just save it. So whenever we are closing a document, it even gives us a warning, do I want to save it? So I will just save it. But how do we do it using a command line? What I will do is I will use the cat command. So I just simply use the cat command, and then I give the file name. Because I am inside the directory, I can simply give the file name. Otherwise, I will give the full path of the file. So it is doc1.txt. So it is printing out all the information which is inside the file over here. So it has also showing the OK which we added in the file. So that's simple, right? So how can we add more data to it? So I will tell you about the echo command. So echo command, if I do echo and write anything, hi guys, and press enter, it will just print out hi guys over here. So this is how echo command just prints out anything which we want to print out. So where it is useful, if we are writing some shell scripts and we just want to give some print statement, we can use the echo command. We can use echo command in other manner also. That is by putting the data which we are printing inside a file. So how do I do that? I will echo and say, I am adding data over here. Then I will give this two greater than signs, and what this greater than sign does is it indicates that this data needs to be pushed inside the file, and I will give the location of the file which I want this data to be added to. So I will write doc1.txt and press enter. So it does not tell us if that data has gone inside or not. It does not give any error or anything. So how do I know? I just have to print out that document and see. So I will again go to the cat command. So what I will do is I will simply press the up arrow key. So what it does is it remembers all the commands which we have written. So the number of times I will press it, it will keep on going to the previous and previous command. So it is another good tip. So you do not need to write all the commands you have already used again and again. So I will just cat doc1.txt. So here you can see the line which we added over here. I am adding data over here is added to the bottom of our file over here. Okay, let's go in the UI and see if it is visible in UI also, because we are much more familiar to the UI interface of things. So you can see my cursor is blinking over where I last edited it, but still I have another line added on the bottom of this file. Similar to cat command, we have other commands which will help us to print out all the contents of a file and browse through it, like the more command. It is very similar to cat command, but how it helps is if we have a very large document, we can scroll through the pages using the enter key. We can move to next pages using the space bar. We can go to previous pages using B key, and we can also search for strings. Whereas in cat command, it just prints out all of in a block. So it is more nicer to have when we can, browse through the document, go up and down, search for things, etc. Again, we have less command. It is very similar to more command, but it has a more visual appeal to it. So it adjusts the height and width of the terminal for the document to be visible better. And we can scroll through it using the arrow keys, and we can quit it using the Q button. Let's open one of the documents. So what I'm going to do is more, and I have a document doc2. So I will just enter that document using the more command. So you can see here all of the document is visible to us, and here what is happening is that it is showing how much of document is visible to me currently on the screen. I have just numbered these lines so it is easy for us to understand what are the lines. I have not numbered the whole of the document, but I have given to some of the lines which we will see in the next section. Okay, to scroll I just have to use the enter key, and you can see I can scroll through the document easily. If I directly want to jump to the next page, I will press the space bar. If I want to go to the previous page, I will press B button. So if a very big document is there, it is very helpful. If I come out of the document, I just have to finish reading the document. I will be out of the document. Next is the less command. So I can less the same document, and you can see all of the document is visible to me. It is not showing me any percentage, but using the arrow keys, I can just scroll through all of the document. So all of the document will be in the screen, and there will be no other things visible for me while in this view. If I want to get out of this view, I will press the Q button and I will be out of the view of the document. Let's continue and see the head command. Now, how head command works? Head command will print out 10 lines of the file from the beginning. Similarly, the tail command will print the last 10 lines. And then there is the tag command, which is exactly opposite of cat command. Let's see how these commands work. So for head command, I will just give head command and write the name of the document. And you see the first top 10 lines of that document are visible to me. So this numbering is actually not in the document. Actually, I have written these things. That is why these numbers are coming. When you will use the head command, it will not give you any numbering of the lines. What if you wanted to see more lines using the head command? You can just mention the number of lines you want to see. Head dash 20. So it will show you the top 20 lines of the document. Similarly, we have the tail command. Here it will print the bottom 10 lines of a document. If I want to see less or more of lines, I can just mention that. I can mention if I want just to see the 15 lines, it will show me the bottom 15 lines. This way I can use the tail and top commands. One very interesting command is the cat command. And we can reverse that command and write tag. And if I do so, what will I get in return is the reverse of the document. All of the document will be printed in front of me in the reverse order. So the last line would be on the top and the first line would be on the bottom. So it's just a nice thing to try out. Just try these commands out and have some fun. Let's continue and have a look at some more commands like the copy command and the move command. So if I want to copy a file to some other place, I can use the copy command. So let me tell you how we can use the copy command. So we know that we have a doc1.txt on our desktop. So I will cp doc1, I will just ls. So you can see that doc1.txt exists in the documents folder. And here you can see that we also have a documents file created, which is the new file which we have created. And let's print out this documents file. So let's just print it. So you can see that I have printed the documents file over here and it has all the contents of the doc1 file. So if I use the copy command, it will copy all the contents of the file and we can copy it to an existing file. Or if there is no file existing with that name, it will create a new file of the name which we give over there. Okay. So let's now try to see how we use the move command. What move command does is it will move the file from one directory to the other directory. So here, when I was doing the copy command, because I did not give any other folder's name, it created the new file inside this folder only. So while using the move file, we have to remember this. If we move the file from the same folder to the same folder, there will be no change and we will not be able to observe it. If we want to move it to some new folder, we have to give the location of the new folder. And then I will write doc1. And then I will give the new location, that is documents, and press enter. Now let's go to documents and see if that file exists over there. So you can see doc1.txt is over here. Let's try to open doc1.txt. So you can see the same file with all the same content has been moved over here. So using the move command, we can also change the name of the file. So how we can do that? I will simply write move, and I do not want to change the directory. I just want the name of the file changed from the doc1 to something else. So I will just write doc1.txt, and then I will write the new name which I want for this file to be. I just want it to be doc2.txt. I will press enter. That's ls. So you can see there is no doc1 file existing anymore over here, but doc2 exists over here. Let's try to open doc2 and see what are the contents of doc2. So you can see all the contents which was in doc1 are over here. That means the name of the doc1 has been changed to doc2 just by using the move command. So what we basically did was we copied the contents of file doc1 and it got stored in some temporary location, and when we created the new doc2 in this same directory, all that data was again copied into doc2, and then the doc1 was deleted. So this way we moved doc1 into the same folder with a new name, and in turn we were able to change the name of the folder by using the move command itself. Let's look at editors. So right now we were able to create files, open files, and enter data into the files. We were able to push data into the files, but we were not able to do a lot of things over here because we were not using editors. Editors give us flexibility, so we can enter data, we can remove data, we can perform certain kinds of operations over there. So in that manner, editors are very, very helpful. So in Linux, we have pre-installed editors like Nano and VI. We can install other third-party editors also. So let's see how these editors work. First is the Nano editor. So it is a very popular editor these days. So one good thing is it has a very nice to look at colorful graphical UI. So it is very much modern compared to other editors which are very plain and do not have much of colors. Still, it does not take any mouse inputs and gives very basic informations over there. Next we have the VI. VI is a little bit of advanced editor. So here we have two modes. One is edit mode and one is command mode. In edit mode, we can add data, we can remove data using keyboard. Whereas in command mode, we can give different kinds of commands to operate some kind of operations. Like if you want to search a word, we can use that using the command mode. Okay, so any kind of those advanced features which we use very often in modern editors, that we can perform in the command mode. So let's have a look and see how these things work. So currently I'm in my documents folder and we have a lot of documents over here. Let's open one of these documents. So I will open doc2.txt, which we have been editing in the earlier video. So I will open it with nano, N-A-N-O, space doc2 and press enter. So you can see using the Nano editor, I have opened this file. So you can see I can press using my mouse, but the cursor does not move. The cursor is on the first place itself. So if I want to move the cursor, I would need to use the arrow keys, but simply by moving the up, down or right, left arrow keys, I can move the cursor easily. So if I want to add anything, I will just write it. I am editing this doc. So I can edit anything over here like this. If I want to remove something, I will just use the backspace and I can remove data over here. So it is very simple to do these operations. And on the bottom, you can see all these shortcuts for different operations. Like if I want to get help, I will just simply Control G. It will open up this menu where I have all these options and where it shows which button does what. So it is telling me like Control G or F1 would display the help text, and Control X or F2 would close the current buffer. Exit from Nano, so it will exit from the editor itself and come into the main terminal. So this way we can read over here and do whatever we want to do. Okay, so let's try to do something else. If I want to write out of a file, I will simply do Control O and I will write out. If I want to save and exit, what I can do is press Control and X. It will ask me, do I want to save these changes which I have made? So I will just simply press on Y and then press enter. So at this time I can change the name of the file also. Okay, if I give some new name, it would be saved as a new file over there. Okay, So this way Nano works. We can go inside Nano and we can explore other things also over here. If I want to find something in Nano, what do? I use Control W. W is short for where is. So if I want to search something, I will do Control W. So here it will show us a search bar. I can just simply write for anything like file, F-I-L-E, and then press enter. So it will take the cursor to where the file is written in this file. Okay, so this way you can do all these operations. On the bottom, you will find a key to how to use all these operations. Like if I want to search something, I can use Control W. If I want to cut something, I would do Control K. So this way I can use these operations and learn it. It will take a little bit of time to understand how these editors work fully, but you have to try to use them, then only you will become familiar with those. The operations are very standard. So just read the bottom key and try to do these operations. VI is a little bit of an advanced editor over here. If I want to get into insert mode, I will use the I button. What it means is insert at cursor. Okay. If I use A, it will insert at the end of the cursor. Okay. Let's see the difference between both of those. So I will use arrow keys to go to the line where I want to insert. So I want to insert into this line. I will click on I button and then print. Okay. So you can see it is inserting where I have the cursor over here. Okay. Let's get out of the insert mode. I will press escape. Okay. Now again, I will go to some other place, like I will go at the over, last word of the over, and again I will get into insert mode using A. Okay. Now what happens is when I type, it will write after the R. Okay. I can move my cursor backwards using the delete key. I will press escape. Okay. So whatever I have removed using the delete key, all the changes would be done after I press the S. Okay. So again, I will get into insert mode and I will type something over here, new line. If I want to remove it, I will use the delete key, but delete key will not remove all of it. I have just moved the cursor using the delete key till the new word and I will press on escape. So you will see till the point I have used the delete key, all the letters would be removed after getting into the insert mode. The data which is already in the file cannot be removed using this way. If I want to delete a particular line, I will use "D" command and that line would be removed. Let's go to this line. I will press "D" and this line would be removed. Okay. So this way, if I want to delete any line, I will go to that line and press "D". If I want to go remove OK, I will press "D". What if I want to remove multiple lines? What I will do is, let's first go into insert mode and write a few lines. A, B, C, D. Okay. If I want to remove last 3 lines, I will press "D". First I have to get out of the insert mode. I will press escape and it will get me out of the insert mode. Now I will press "D". Okay. So this way I can remove multiple lines. If I use "D", it will remove the 2 lines, but it will only remove the bottom 3 lines or bottom 2 lines. It will not remove the above lines. If I want to undo any changes which I made recently, I will use the U button and all those changes would be reverted, but I can only go one change back. Let's write something over here. BAD, bad guys. Okay. Let's get out of the insert mode and let's try to do Shift and capital U. So all the changes which I made to that line would be removed by using the Shift U command. So this line has been over here already. So I will go in the middle of this line. I will go into insert mode and then I will write something, new stuff. I will get out of insert mode. I would go somewhere else and then again get into insert mode and add some more data. And then I will get out of the insert mode. Now I will do Shift capital U So all the changes what I made in this session in this particular line would be removed using the capital U. I will simply press Shift and U. All the changes I made to that particular line in this session would be removed. If I want to remove any data which is in this line after the cursor, I would use Shift capital D. So I will simply press Shift and then D, which would be the capital D, and all the data in that line would be removed. So I have removed all the data again, and now let's try to do more changes. Let's do more. So I have removed all the data and I'm doing some more changes. So let's do more things over here. Okay, so I have written some more lines over here, and what I'm going to do is, what if I wanted to go into insert mode? I don't want any data after this line and I want to go into insert mode. I will simply press capital C, and I would be, so all the data after this dollar would be like gone. So if I type something over here, ABD would be printed over here. If I press escape, so all the other data in that line would be gone. So here very little data was there. Let's try to do it with something else. Again, I will do Shift and C, and let's just try to write one letter, that is 1, and then press escape. So you can see 1 is there, all the other data of that line has gone. If I want to delete a particular number of words, what I can do is I will go into the command mode, and then I will write the number of words I want to remove. Let's say I want to delete 4 words. Let's say I wanted to delete a few words from a particular line. If I wanted to delete 2 words or 3 words, what I can do is to delete 3 words, I will write the number of words I want to delete, 3 DW. So all those 3 words would be gone. If I want to delete 1 word, I will write 1 D for delete and W for word, 1 DW. Okay, this way I can delete all those words. All those insert and all these commands which you might need to use in VI Editor, I would be adding in my cheat sheet, so you can see from there and use them as and when to need. But it will require a little bit of practice to work into an editor like VI. It is a little bit advanced editor. Nano is much easier to work with. So there are some other commands also, but I have told you some few basic ones. So if you want to get very good with VI, just try them out, read my cheat sheet, and from there you can do all of those things. Under this lesson, I am also attaching a file just for the commands of Nano and VI. So just go through it once, please. If I want to move up and down in the file, what I can use is K and J keys. So K key will move the cursor up, J key will move the cursor down. So earlier computers did not used to have any arrow buttons, so we can use these alphabets to do that. If I want to go to the right, I will use the L letter, and if I want to move to left, I will use the H letter. If I want to save all the changes which I have made to the file, I will simply, in the command mode, I will write colon and W. This will save all the changes but keep the file open. Okay. If I want to save and quit, I will write colon, W for saving it, and Q for quitting. This will save all the changes and quit the file. If I just want to quit the file without changes, I will do colon and Q. This will quit out of the file without making any changes or saving any of the change which I might have made during this session. Okay, so these are most of the major things you will encounter while using the VI editor. All other things, as I already told you, would be in the document attached with this lecture. So please go through it and try out all of those things. Then only you will be able to work with VI editor. Let's look at some basic utility commands like the find command and the locate command. What these commands do, let's say I want to search for a particular file in the computer. I will just use find command and write its name, and I would be able to search for that file. Locate command does the similar thing, but what is the difference is it works in the background. What does that mean is that when the locate command is searching, it searches from the database. So we need to keep on updating the database so that locate commands works flawlessly. So the locate command is much more faster than find command, but the only thing is that the database needs to be updated. So by using the find command, if we want to search in the same directory where we are, we will just use simple dot. And if you want to search it in the from the root directory, so you can see in documents all these files are there. Let's try to search for one of these files. Okay, find so when I search for doc1 inside this folder, it easily found that folder. Let's try to do find when I do it with dot doc. So you see this time it searched for the doc and it checked in all those places. Now let's try to do find with slash doc. So when I do it, it is searching for all the places in this computer. So it will take a little bit of time and it will tell me where that file might be there. Okay, so it searched for all those places, and wherever it found doc1, it would have shot me, but it just found doc1 over here. So it is just showing me that it is here in this folder. Let's do the same with locate command. So I will just locate for doc1 and it just found doc1. And here what is happening is it is searching for in the whole of the database. So it is also faster this way. So you can use locate command as well as find command, whichever you may need to use, and whatever may be the requirement, you can use those commands. Let's see how grep command works. So if I want to search for a string inside a file, what I will use is a grep command. So I will simply write grep -i, and then I will write the string I want to search for. Let's say I want to search for a word, let's say, and then I will write the name of the file where I want to search it. So I'm currently in documents folder, so I will directly give the name of the file, that is the doc1, and let's search for it. So it has found for say in this line. So the say is highlighted in red and it is in this line, so it is showing the whole of that line. Next is CMP. CMP is used for comparing to files. So if you want to compare to different files, we can use this command. So in my document folder, I have a lot of files. So let's try to compare two files, like compare file 1 with file 2. So file 1 and 2 are very similar. That is why it is not returning anything. Let's compare some other files like file 1 with file 3. So it is telling that file 1 and file 3 differ by byte 21, line number 11. So they are different on line number 11. So we do not exactly know what it is trying to say. Let's just print out both of those files and try to understand it. So I have printed both the files 1, 2. So these were definitely similar. So that is why nothing was returned to us. Let's print file number 3. So here you can see all these files are similar, but file number 3 on the last alphabet, it is differing. So that is why in the line number 11, it told us that it is differing by something. So that is what it was. There are other ways to comparing two files. So the other command is the comm, C-O-M-M, and then we pass the names of the two files and then press enter. So you can see both those files are very similar, so it is just returning this. Let's compare file 1 to 3. We know that one alphabet in file number 1 and 3 is different. So you can see, so all the common things it has listed in a different column, and the things which are unique in file number 1 it has printed over here, and which are unique in file number 3 it has printed in a different column. Pipe. So how do we use pipe command? If you want to give output of one command as an input to another command, we will use the pipe command. Let's say I'm printing something and I want that output to be given as an input to the next command. I will use the pipe command. Let's see it with an example. So here what I'm doing is I'm catting document 1, that is I'm trying to print document 1, and what I'm doing is I'm printing first 7 lines and I am trying to print the last 5 lines of that. So if I just do that, this is the output I get. So what if I just did the printing of that file with only had 7 lines? It will give me the top 7 lines. But because I did the tail 5 line, so from those 7 lines, it cut out the 5 lines and only showed me the 5 lines. So this way we can combine various commands using the pipe command and then get various kinds of output. SED. So SED is just like an editor, but what if we wanted to edit something into the file, but we do not want it to be edited permanently, but we just wanted something to be displayed on the screen. So those are the circumstances where we use this. So what we do is we give a command, and then what we do is we pass some parameters like some old word and some new word by which we want it to get replaced. So let's say I'm printing hello people, and I wanted the people to be changed by you. So I can just use this command, echo hello people, SED people replaced by you. Okay, so I am printing hello people and I'm replacing the people in this command with you. Let's just print it. So you can say it is giving an output of hello you. If I would just have echo hello people, it would have printed hello people. So it was just an example. You would not actually use it like this, but we can print out a file and we can change things inside of that file using this command. Now let's look at how we can see all the different disk sizes, how much of space each disk is using, or how much of space a particular file is using. So using the df command, it will show the disk space of each of the partitions which we have in the system, and it will show all the partitions in kilobytes. But if you want to see it in megabytes, you can use the df -m command also. And using the du command, what it will do is it will tell us the size of that particular file on the disk, that how big that file is. So if I want to check for a particular file, I can du space and give the name of that particular file, and it will tell us the size of that particular file. Okay, let's just df over here, and you can see it is telling me all these partitions which we have. Like we have these temp files, we have tab SDA2, this is another partitions. So it is showing us all the different things and how much of it is in use. Like most used would be this one. See, it is 43% used, and also saying us how much is available, how much is used over there. So all of those information it is showing us over here. Now if we want to see it in megabytes, we will just df -m and then press enter, and now it will give us all the data in megabytes, so it is easier for us to understand. Now let's use the du command. So I will simply du and press enter. Let's see what happens. So what it is doing is it is showing us all the file in this computer. So there might be a lot of files, so that might be a little difficult. So what I will do is I will just simply use ls command to see what are the files inside this folder, and I will just pick one of these folders. Let's say du music. So it is telling us music and the size of the music. Okay, let's do something else like du documents. It is telling us the size of the documents. So document has more data, that is why it is showing more size over there. So this way you can check out a size of different files and folders using the du command. One more thing you can do is you can ls-lah, and it will tell us all the size of all the files inside that particular folder. So all the files which are inside my home folder, it is showing the name and also the size of all of these files. So let's look at how we can zip and unzip files. So if we want to compress a particular kind of file, we can do using these commands. First is the tar command. Tar is a very famous compression tool used in Linux. So you can compress any kind of file using the tar. So it has a very long history. So we have been using it for years in Linux, and to uncompress them also we use the tar command. So you can use it anytime. So any document which has these extensions like .tar, .tar, .gz, tar.bz2, etc. can be uncompressed by using the tar command. So many times when we download a particular kinds of software, we need to unzip it. You can use the tar command over there. Next is zip and unzip. If there are zip files, you can unzip them using the unzip command. You can also zip those things using the zip command. So to compress a directory, I need to give tar space -zcvf space name of the compressed file, tar.gz space the name of the directory I want to compress, that is new1, and then I will give press enter. So now you can see these all files have been compressed. Let's ls. So you can see in red color it is telling us a compressed folder is there. Okay, So what I will do is I will just remove the original folder, new one. So let's try to uncompress tar.gz. So how can we uncompress it? So I will just write tar -zxvf, then the file I want to decompress. So that is compressed dot this, and I will just enter. So we have decompressed this file, and let's ls. So you can see first because I have already removed the new folder, so when I decompress it again, the new folder which has been decompressed, so all the compressed files have again come out. So let's open a new folder and see what is inside this new one. So just cd new one. So let's ls. So you can see abc.txt is also here. So just before showing you this, I just had deleted this file in this folder so that when we decompress it again, these files come back. So this is how you can compress and decompress files. Same thing you can do with the zip files. So you can zip files and unzip file using the zip and unzip command. Let's look at some system info. So I will uname, it will give us the Linux distro which I'm using. So, and if I use uname -a, it will give me some more information like kernel release date, version, processor type, etc. So let's try it out and see what kind of information it gives. You should also try it on your computer and see what your computer tells to you. So it is simply saying it is a Linux machine, and I will do uname -a. So it is telling me that it is Ankush VirtualBox is the user, and it is telling me the kernel version over here. It is giving me the Saturday, May 8, 256 UTC 2021. It is telling me the processor type of operating system. It is x86 64-bit GNU GNU Linux. So this is basic information it is giving. If I try it in my Mac, I think there also it will give me some information. So let's see, uname. So on my Mac, it is telling me it is a Darwin OS, and let's see what if I give it -a. So it is telling me Ankush MacBook Pro local, and it is also telling me the version, kernel version, Wednesday, June 23, the time which is right now, and a little bit of other information it is giving me. It is telling me it is x86 64-bit version. So all this kind of information you can get using this command. Next is the id command. What does id command give? It displays the user id and the group of id of our user. So let's just see it in action. So you can see it is telling me uid Ankush, group id Ankush, groups. So all the information, because I do not have created any much groups, so it is not showing those. If you would have a group, so it will give information about those things also. So just check it out how the id command works. Let's continue and see some more commands like the date command. Now, what does date command do? Let's just try it out. I'll just write date. So it is returning today's date and time. So currently it is 1:51 AM IST. So it is showing the current date and time. Next is calendar command. Let's see what calendar command do. I just have to write cal to use this command. So when I do cal, it returns the calendar of the current month and it highlights the today's date over there. So when I'm recording this video, it is 31st of July. So it is highlighting on that particular date. So you can also try it. It will highlight today's date and show the calendar of the particular month which you are in. So what we can do is we can do calendar and we can do 2022. So it will show me the calendar of that particular year, whichever we type over here. Next is the sleep command. What sleep commands does? So it will hold the terminal by a specified amount of time. So it only takes time in seconds. So let's try this. So how does sleep command works? Whatever time I give in seconds over here, for that time, it will hold the terminal. Let's say I give it 10 seconds. That would be enough to understand it. I'll just press enter. So we just have to wait for 10 seconds. Until that time, I cannot give any other command. So the terminal is holded. I'll just wait for the 10 seconds to get over. So you see 10 seconds are over. And now again, I can put any command over here. So let's see the time command. So how this command works is, if I simply give the time command, it will just not tell me anything. It will just show 0 0. But if I combine it with some other command, it will tell me how much time that command took to execute. So let's see. Let's do time and then sleep for 5 seconds. So it will sleep for 5 seconds and then it will tell how much time it took. So it is saying in real, it took 5 seconds for this command to get executed. User time was like 0.001 seconds and system time was like negligible. So this is the way this works. So if I give some big command which takes longer time to run, so other parameters will also change. So this way we can know how much a command is taking to execute or to run. If I just keep my computer over here, use the time command with any other command and leave it for execution, and next day I want to know how much time it took, like maybe 1 hour or 2 hours to execute that particular task, I can check it using this command. Otherwise I would not know that long task, how much time it did take to finish it. Okay, continuing. Now next we have is zget command. So how does zget command works? It helps us to display the compressed files. So we have a compressed file in our computer. Let's just try it with that. So I have just zget and given the name of the compressed file, and see, it is telling me all the data about that, what is over there. So it is just printing out all those things. Next is mount command. How does mount command work? So if we want to mount any kind of external device, let's say a pen drive or something, it automatically detects it. But if we want to change the file system or some other kinds of things of that particular hard disk or drive, we can use the mount command. So generally every different operating system has their own file systems. Sometimes we might need to change it as per the requirement. We can use it. There are some other commands like the exit command. How does this help? It exits from the current shell. So let's say I am SSH'd into some other machine and I am working over there and I want to exit that particular machine. I just will exit it and then I will be back in my own computer. So this way exit command is helpful. Next is clear command. So this is a very helpful command. We have already seen it in action. What we need to do is, if a lot of data is on the screen and we just want to remove all of it, just a fresh terminal look we want, then we can use clear command. So it just erases the visual elements from the screen so that we have a space to write new commands. Otherwise it will keep on scrolling and we would be able to write commands. There is no problem. It's just that it just looks better. So let's say we have a lot of stuff over here. I will just clear and see the screen is very much clear. All the things which are happening in background will keep on happening. Nothing will be stopped. And how does exit command work? I'll just exit and my terminal has been exited. So currently I was not into any other shell, but only the shell I was working in, the terminal. So it has exited that. Another good utility command is shutdown command. Similarly, we have restart command and other such commands. So how do we use it? So I will just go in my terminal and just write a sudo shutdown and it will shut down my computer. So whenever we do the shutdown, it gives us a window. So we can cancel in within that window. Otherwise, it will just shut down our system. So to cancel, we can simply shut down space -C and it will cancel the shutdown. Otherwise, you can see it is scheduled for 23:36. That is 1 minute from the time when I gave the command. So let's just wait for it to get shut down. So you see, when the time is there, it starts to shut down the computer. Uptime will give the time since the machine has been up. So if a server has been running for days or many months, it will just give that out. So let's see since when my machine has been up, and then we will look at Alice. So I did uptime. So it is just saying that it has been up for 1 minute. So I just restarted this because I just gave the shutdown command. So it has been up for just 1 minute. Let's see alias. So how does alias work? So there could be very long commands and we need to use them very frequently. So what we can do is we can create shortcut for those commands using the alias. So how to create alias. So I will simply write alias space, and then I would give any word which I want to create as shortcut. Let's say I want to create shortcut as C. Then I will say equals to, and then I will give single quotes, and inside that I will write the name of the command. So let's say I want to create an alias for clear command, clear, and then I will press enter. So it does not give any output, but an alias has been created. So let's see if it works. So I will just print C and then enter. So you can see my screen has been cleared just by using the C command. So C is short for clear now. If I just give any kind of command, just ls or cd dot dot, anything what I do, and then I just give C, press enter, everything would be cleared. So C is the new ls. So what if I wanted to remove some aliases? So what I can do is I can simply use the unalias command and write the alias shortcut and then just press enter, and that alias would be removed. So let's try to use C again to clear the screen. So you can see it is saying C command not found. So C is no longer an alias for any command. So I can assign it to some other command. So you can create your own aliases of all the commands which you use very often. This is a very helpful trick. User management. As a Linux administrator, I might need to add users, change their passwords, create new groups, add users to the group, and perform all these actions. So let's see how these things happen in action. So to add a user, I simply need to write add user command, and then I need to write the name of the user I want to create. So it is saying only root users can create this. So now you know how and when we need the root permissions. So sometimes while these kinds of admin tasks, we will need a root access. So I will just write the same command with the sudo permissions. So it is saying user2 already exists. If a user already exists, I need to create a new user if I want to assign a new user. So I will just create new user 3. So now it is saying I need to assign a password to this new user. So let's just give it password 1234. 1234. It is asking for a name. You can just skip it by pressing enter key. Room number, work phone, home phone. You can just skip all these things by pressing enter. Now it is asking me if all the information provided by me is correct. Just give it Y, press enter. Now a new user has been created with the name user3. So a new user has been created with the name user3. Let's try to log in from this new user. So I will write su space dash usr3, enter. It is asking me for the password. I will give the password. And now I am logged in as the new user 3. So it is saying user 3 has been logged into this machine. Now let's try to change the password of the user. So the command for that is PASSWD. So to change the password of the user I am currently logged in as, I will just need to give this command and I can write the current password. Then it will ask me for the new password. So it is saying the password has been updated successfully. Let's say you wanted to change the password of some other user. So for that, you will need to write PASSWD and write the name of the user you want to change the password, like user1, press enter. Again, it is saying I cannot modify the password of this other user because I am neither a super user and I am a regular user, so I cannot do that. Let's try the same command with the sudo permissions. So now it is asking me for the password of the user3. So I will just give the password of user3. So this way, you know that not any ordinary user can change the password of a user. Only an authorized root user can change the password of a user. So it is a security measure over here. Now let's go and create new groups and add users to the groups. So we could not change the password as user3 because user3 does not have the root privileges. Now as Ankush, I have logged in again to this machine, and as a root user, I must be able to change the password of any one person, any of the users of the machine. So an admin can do all of those things. So let's try to do that. An ordinary user cannot change the password of other user. That is a security measure we have, but an administrator can do. Ankush has the rights as an administrator user. So let's try to change the password of some other user using the Ankush account. So pass wt user1. So it is saying I do not have the permission. Why? Because I did not give the sudo. So let's sudo and then try this. New password. It is directly asking me to assign a password to user1. So you remember last time when we were logged in as user3, we were not able to change the user's password. Now it is directly asking us. So let's just give it a password. So password updated successfully. So a root user can change password of any user on the system. As next is group add. Let's create new groups over here. So to create a new group, I need to group add and then write the name of the new group. Press enter. So a new group has been created. Now let's add a user to this new group. So I need to sudo usermod space -a space -G space. I need to write the name of the group which I want to add a user to, that is new group. Then I need to give the username which I want to add to this group. That would be user1. Press enter. So user1 has been added to the group, new group. So I have logged in as user1 to check if I have been added to the new group. So let's just use the id command and see. So it is telling me my username is user1 and which groups I am part of. I'm part of new group. So we can be part of multiple groups. So if you want to assign single user to multiple groups, you can do that. And if you want to check that, you can check that in configuration files, or you can ID and check for a particular user to all which groups I am part of. And one more thing, if I want to check which user I have been logged in as, I can always do who am I. So I am logged in as user1. To sign into a particular user, you can use the su command. You just have to su dash and write the username. Then you have to give the password. So let me sign in as user1. I need to give the password for user1. Now I am signed in as user1. This way you can switch between different users. Let's see how I can check the owner of a particular file. To check that, what I can do is I can do ls-l command. This will list out all the files and folders inside a folder with these kinds of details, like who is the owner of that file or folder, who has the different kinds of permissions for that file, that who has the read permission, who has the write permission, who has execution permission. It will also tell the group associated with that file or folder. Okay. So let's understand some basic things. If R is written, that means the read permission. If W is written, that means write permission. If X is written, that means executable permission. If a simple dash is made, that means that there is no permission. So generally, the permissions are written in this order: read, write, and execution. If a user has all the permissions, it would be written RWX. If the user has only read permission, it will be written as R dash dash. If the user has write only permission, it will be written as dash W dash. If the user only has executable permission, it will be written as dash dash X. That means the first place is for the read permission, the second place is for the write permission, and the third place is for the executionable only permissions. So as I was telling you, only R means read only, W means write only, X means execute only. If it is dash WX, it means write and execute. R and X means read and execute. R and W means read and write. RWX means all. So these are the places defined. So first place is for read, second place is for write, and the third place is for execution. So in this way, you can identify what are the permissions associated with a particular file. So let's try this command and see what are the permissions available for all the users. Then we will see how we can change the ownership of a file to some other user. I'll simply do ls-l, press enter, and you can see it is showing to me all these folders and different kinds of permissions on them. So first is the desktop folder. So you can see over here it is written RWX. That means the owner has read, write and execution permissions, and the group associated with it will have read and execution permissions, and all the other users have read and execution permissions. Who is the owner of this group? This person, this user is the owner of the group, and this is a group associated with this particular file or folder. So the owner of this folder is Ankush, and the group associated with this folder is Ankush. And the permissions are as follows. These are the permissions of the owner, that means of Ankush. These are the permissions of the group associated, that is the Ankush group. And these are the permissions for all the other people who might want to access this folder. This way we can check for all the other files and documents in this folder. Now let's see how we can change the ownership of a particular file. To change the ownership, we will use the chown command. What does this command mean? Ch means change, on means ownership. If we want to change the ownership of a particular file, we will do chown space the name of the user we want the ownership of. So if I want to change the ownership of a particular file to user2, I will say chown user2, and then I will write the name of the file I want to change the ownership of. So let's see it in action. So currently I'm in documents folder, and you can see all these files are over here. So I have just done the ls-l command, and you can see permissions of different file. Let's see this file abc.pdf. So the owner of this file is Ankush, and the group associated is also Ankush. So let's try to change the ownership of this file. So I have written sudo chown. Now I will write the name of the user I want to transfer the ownership to, that is user1. Then I will give the name of the file I want to change the ownership of, and then I will give enter. So it is not saying anything. Let's just again do ls-l command, and let's see what it gives. So here you can see that the ownership of the abc.pdf has changed to Ankush to user1. Earlier it was Ankush, now it is user1. So this way you can change the ownership of any file using the chown command. Now let's try to see how we can change the group associated to a particular file. So here you can see the second command shows how we can use chown colon name of the group and name of the file, and we can change the group of any file. So I have given chown colon. Now I will give the name of the group, new group. I will give the space and now write the name of the file, ABC. So now the ownership must have changed. Let's try to. So now the ownership has changed, and also the group associated with that file has also changed. So using the command chown colon the group name, we can change the associated group of a particular file. Now let's see how we can add and remove permissions for the owner. So we just saw how we can change the ownership of a file. Now we are going to see that how we can change the permissions we have given to the owner of a particular file. So if I do chmod plus rwx file name, this way I can add any kind of a permission. The plus sign is for adding the permission, and here I will write the name of any kind of permission I want to give to that. If I want to give all permissions, I will write rwx. If I want to just give execution permissions, I will write plus x. If I want to remove any kind of permission, I can do minus and write the name of the permission I want to remove for the owner of that file. Okay, so all these commands work only for the owner. It is not for groups or the other users, so that you have to remember. So let's try to change permissions of a file. So let's change the permissions of the user1. So user1 currently only has a read-only access for ABC. Let's change it to something else. Let's say we want to give it all the permissions. So I have given sudo chmod. I am adding the permissions for reading, writing and execution for the file ABC. Pressing enter. Now it has registered it. Let's try to ls and see what has happened. So now you can see that for user1, we have given read, write and execution all the permissions to the user1. So user1 has all the permissions of reading the file, executing the file, and you can also see that the Group associated with it also has gotten the execution and read permissions. Now let's see how I can remove some permissions for ABC. Okay, let's do the same command. This time what I will do is I will just, instead of plus, I will put the minus sign. Let's ls again. So here you can see all the permissions have been removed. So when the owner himself does not have any permissions, others also do not have the read or execution permissions. When user we assign all the permissions to the owner, others also get read-only access for most of the files by default. So here you must have seen when I earlier assigned the read, write, and execution permissions, the other users also got read and execution permissions by default. You can change that if you desire to do so. So let's see how we can use the numeric code to add or remove permissions. It is much more easier to use the numeric code. So let's go through it. Also, one thing is that using the numeric code, we can assign the permissions to the owner, to a group, and also to all the other users we can assign or remove permissions. So the code is very simple. 0 means no permission, 1 means execution, 2 means write only, 3 means write and execution, 4 means read only, 5 means write and execution, 6 means read and write permissions, 7 means all the read, write, and execution permissions. Okay, so let's see how we can use that. We have to simply do chmod 777 and write the name of the file or the folder we want to change the permissions to. This will give everyone all the permissions. The first digit is for the owner, the second digit is for the group associated with it, and the third digit is for all the other users. That means if I want to give everyone all the permissions, I will use 777. If I want to give all the permissions to the owner but no permission to anyone else, I will write 700. Okay, this way we can give different permission to different users and remove permissions as we desire so. Simply we have to follow this chart and remember it. It is not much hard. So you just usually have to remember that how to, what is no permissions, what is read-only permission, what is read and write permission, what is read and execute permissions. So these are generally given permissions. So you can just remember it in 1 or 2 days and try to use it. Then you will be much more familiar with it. So let's try to do it in command line and see how it works. So as you can see, abc.pdf has no permissions. Let's try to give some users some kind of permission. So I'm doing sudo chmod and I want to give the owner all the permissions, but to others I don't want to give any permission at all. So I will use 700 and then write the name of the file I want to give the permissions to and press enter. Again, I will list out all the permissions. So here you can see that the owner has all the permissions and others have no permission at all. Earlier, when we were not using the numeric system, but were giving permission to the owner using the simple method of giving the R, W, and X commands, at that time what was happening was when I was giving all the permission to the user, by default the other users were getting the read and write permissions. But here, using the numeric code, we can have much more grasp over how and what permissions we want to give to each and every user. Let's look at some network commands. Okay, if I want to know the host name of my computer, I can use the command hostname. If I want to get my IP, I would write hostname-i and it will give me my IP of the computer. If I want to ping and see if a particular website is up and running, I can just ping the URL of that website, or I can give the IP of that particular server and I will be able to know if that server is working or not. Let's see how it works. So if I just give host name, it will give the username of this computer. And if I do it like this, hostname and -i and then enter, it will return me the IP of this machine. So it is a virtual network. So it is just giving out that particular IP over here. So what if I wanted to ping a computer and see if it is working? If you have any computer, local computer, you can give its IP and ping it. So ping and give like you can give the IP of your mobile and it will ping and tell if it's receiving any kind of data, or you can give URL of a website, let's say google.com. So it is pinging google.com and you can see it is continuously pinging and getting some kind of a data from there. You can give IP or URL of any website over here and it will tell you if that website is up and running. So if I want to exit, I will just Control C. Pinging any server, like I have pinged Amazon server over here, you need to get out of it. So if you haven't got it, you just have to do Control and C. You will get out of it. If it does not exit, you can use Control Z, which will forcefully exit any running command. So this is another trick you should remember. So what you can do is you can give a different URL of different websites and try this out. One more thing you can do is you can try to get IP of your mobile and do it, or you can even create a virtual machine and try to ping that. That would be a fun little access. Try doing it. Let's look at host command. How does this command work? What we can do is we can give domain of any website and it will return to us the IP of that website. If I give the IP of any server, it will return to me the domain of that website. So let's see how it works. I will do host and give domain of any popular website, let's say google.com. Press enter. So it will return to me the IP of that website. Similarly, I can do it for some other website also. Let's say amazon.com. So it is returning to me all the IPs of amazon.com. I can do the reverse. I will just host, copy this particular IP and then try to paste it over here. Press enter. So it is saying that it is s3console.aws.amazon.com. So this is an IP of amazon.com. So this way you can reverse it also. So if you host any domain, it will give the IP, and if you host any IP, it will tell you the domain of that particular website or server. How to check your own IP using command line, and also how we can change the settings of network. So let's have a look. First we have ifconfig and then we have IPA. These both commands work in very similar fashion. ifconfig has been there for a long time and IPA is the new version which has been added. This works similar to the ifconfig command. So using both of these commands, we can check our private IP, and using the curl ifconfig.me, we can check our public IP also. So that is the IP which would be visible to everyone else on the internet. Okay, let's have a look how we can use those. By simply giving ifconfig, I would be able to see all my network settings. So here you can see it is showing me my IP, that is 10.0.2.15, and that is my IP. So you would be able to notice that this IP is not a usual IP. Why? Because generally when we are on a public network, we get a different kind of IP, but here I am connected to a virtual private network. So if you are in a virtual private network, if you are using company internet or something like that, you will also have an IP like this. But currently, why my IP is like this? Why? Because I am using VirtualBox. So VirtualBox automatically assigns these kinds of IPs to all the machines. If we want to bypass that, we can create a bridge network. Okay, we will have a look at that in a minute. Let's see IPA. So it works in the similar fashion. I will just give IPA, press enter. And here you can see it is also telling me network details, and my IP is also visible over here. So it also tells me the class of IP and other kinds of details also when we use this command. So this is the same IP which I was shown using the if command. So ifconfig and IPA work in very similar fashion. Now let's see how I can check my private IP. One thing is you can go to Google and search for your Now let's see how we can check our public IP. One way is you can go to a browser and search for your IP and it will throw you your public IP. Another way is you can do the curl command. So how it works? So you just simply give curl ifconfig.me and it will give you your public IP. Okay, that was cool, right? Now, Next, we will look at how we can create a bridge network. So one thing you need to do is, for that you have to exit the machine. So what you can do is you can just shut down your computer. So I will just say shut down. Then we will do some settings in the VirtualBox menu. Okay, so to change my network from a virtual network to a bridge network, what I will do is I will go to the instance of which I have created. This is the Mint instance. I will click on settings. Then I will go to network. In network, here I will have options of adapter 2, 3, 4. I will not make any changes in those. I will just click on attach to. Instead of NAT, I will select bridged adapter. So what bridged adapter does is it will create a direct network from my router, and it will give the IP whatever the router assigns to each individual device. So it will also assign an individual IP to my virtual machine as if it were a separate device. Rather than creating virtual IP for this instance, I will have a proper IP like all my other computers and mobile devices which I have in my house. I will just click on OK and it will save all my settings. Okay, let's again boot up this machine and see what happens. So I have booted up in the machine again. Now let's go to terminal and check our IP. So my terminal has opened. I do the ifconfig and it throws me back my IP. So now you can see it is giving me a normal IP like the router will assign to any other machine. Okay, let's try to check our public IP. So I will just do curl ifconfig.me. So it has returned my IP over here. Okay, so try out and check your IP also, and I will see you in the next video. Firewall. With networking, it is very important to understand how firewalls work and the importance of them. These days, we are connected to internet all the time, whether we work in any kind of a field. But when you're a system admin, it is extra important to understand networking and firewall, because these are security related things which are very essential, as there might be sensitive data and information on our servers which we are running for our company. So let's see how firewall works. So firewall is basically a wall which is constructed in IT so that we can restrict the kind of users that come and connect with the machine and what are the kind of information we give them. So we can restrict the users on the basis of from where they are coming from. So there would be users who would be able to access your websites. Now there would be developers who would be able to give you code and that would be run on the machine. So your machine access, developers and DevOps teams, they will have, whereas users will have access to the servers as a user. So all those things need to be configured. So let's have a basic understanding of firewall in this lecture. Now let's look at very basic commands that are enabling and disabling firewall. That is UFW enable. By this command, you can enable firewall in your computer. Most of the times it is already enabled. Then we would look at how we can check the status of firewall, and it will also give us a list of all the open ports on our computer. What are ports? Ports are the places where we can mount different kinds of infrastructure. Let's say we want to have a FTP protocol where you can transfer files. So for that, we will open a port in our computer. Then only it will be able to transfer and receive files. If that is disabled, we will not be able to do so. That is a security measure. So only when we need, we will open a port. Let's say we want to allow people to access website which is hosted on my computer. I will give them HTTP access. Okay, we can open traffic for everyone using the allow HTTP command. What that will do is everyone with my IP will be able to access my machine. But that is not a good idea. Mostly if you are having a web server, always use a DNS name. You need to configure it. Then your IP will not be visible to the user. Only your DNS name will be visible and they will be able to access your website. Next thing is that you can deny certain kinds of users. You know that certain IP is just trying to crash your server again and again, pinging to your system. You can specifically restrict some particular IPs. So that is how we can do that. Other things which we can do using this is we can allow certain particular IPs to be able to access the machine. Let's say we will give SSH access, which will give the access to my computer from someone who is sitting remotely, and they will be able to access my computer and give any kind of command. Generally, we have all our infrastructure on cloud and we SSH into machine and then only work on the machine. So we will have a look into that in the future lectures. Right now, we will just see how we can allow and restrict certain users. So first I'm starting with sudo ufw status. This will tell us the status of firewall on our system. So it is saying status is inactive. So currently firewall is not active on my computer. So what I can do is sudo ufw enable. Firewall is active and enabled on your system. So now the firewall has been activated on my system just by using this command. Okay, so what next? Let's try to look at the status once again. So what it's saying, firewall is active. So firewall is active and currently no extra ports are open on this system other than which are necessary ones. So let's try to open one of the ports and see how we can do that. Let's give access to HTTP. So HTTP is generally used to give access to any kind of hypertext web pages which we can host in our computer, and then anyone would be able to access those using my computer's IP. So let's just enable that port. So HTTP UFW allow HTTP will allow any kind of HTTP access to this computer. So rule has been added. So let's now again do HTTP status. And you see now when I do the status, it is saying that port 80, which is the default port for HTTP, has been enabled on my computer. Similarly, I can allow other ports also. Let's allow like SSH. So allowing SSH, what it does is it will open port 22, which is the default port for remote protocol, which allows you to log into shell. So these are the rules which have been added and updated. Now let's see how we can deny a particular kind of a port which has already been enabled. We can disable any port by using the ufw deny command. Okay, so I will write sudo ufw deny SSH. So it is saying rule updated. Now let's again list out all the rules. So it is saying that firewall is active, and you can see that port 22 is denied right over here, but it is showing over here in the list. So we can get a very big list over here. And what if we just want to remove all the denied things? We just don't want anything which is not allowed to be visible in this list. We can remove them also. So how we can remove them is by using the delete command. So you can just delete any kind of a rule which you do not want. So let's just try that. So let's say I wanted to delete deny SSH rules so that all those rules do not come in the list. I will just simply write sudo ufw delete deny SSH, press enter. So it's saying the rule has been updated. So you can see that we have only the TCP rules which are for HTTP, and all the other 22 ports have been removed. To reset the firewall to its default state, we will use sudo ufw reset command. It will ask me if we want to really do that. I will just say yes. So it will update all of the rules and it will take it to its initial status. So you can see when I do the UFW status now, it is saying it is inactive. So it is again disabled as it was initially. We can do a lot of advanced thing using the firewall command. What we can do is, like, if I want to enable a particular port, but I do not want it to be enabled for a particular IP, what I can do is I can say sudo ufw deny port TCP from this particular IP I want it to be denied from to any port 22. What does that mean is that my port 22, if I have enabled it, will be enabled and I can SSH into my computer. But for this particular IP, it will not be enabled. So in this manner, we can do various kinds of advanced things. We can allow traffic from particular kinds of IP. We can deny it from particular kinds of IP. We can also do where it is enabled for everyone except a few IPs. Let's see some memory related commands like the free command. How do we use this command? If I want to check how much of memory is free in my system, I can use this command. I will simply write free in my terminal, press enter, and it will show me all the memory which is free in my computer. So total I have 8 GB of RAM. So I had a lot of RAM, that's why I have given it more RAM over here. And it is just showing me how much of it is free, like more than 6 GB, nearly 7 GB of RAM is free. I'm using very less of RAM. One more thing what you can do is you can free and then -m. So it will show you RAM in megabytes. So it is easier for us to understand. So it is saying that it is like totally I have like 8 GB of RAM and 6.5 GB of it is free and uses like what 633 megabytes. So you can check it in GB also. So it is just rounding off to the lower number. So I have just like more than 7 GB of RAM, but it is just rounding it off. And I have like more than 6 GB of RAM free. So because it is rounding off, so you can see 633 MB of RAM is used, but when I'm rounding it off to gigabytes, is rounding off to the lower number. That is why it is saying I'm not using any memory, which is not possible. So just be careful about that. So another useful command is the vmstat. So it is view memory statistics. So let's try to see this command and see what are the kinds of statistics we are able to see with it. So when I do vmstat, it gives me the information in a tabular fashion. So it is telling me about the memory. So how much is free, how much is buffer, how much is cache, how much is swap. So all those information it is displaying to me. One more thing I can do is vmstat-s, and it will give me the list of how the memory has been used in a linear fashion. So I can understand about all the kind of like paged pages and all the other kinds of things which are listings of swap pages in, swap pages out, all of the details where the memory is being used, how it is being used, I can get over here. So our computer runs a lot of processes in background and in foreground. A lot of processes we might be running like a player, a video player, a browser, editors, lots of things we might be doing in the computer at a time. So all of those processes, if I want to see what are running, what are not running, I can use these commands. So similar to the memory commands, they also give a tabular representation of all the information. So first is a ps command. It will give out information about all the processes which are running on the system. So I simply ps and it will show me all the processes which I have started using the terminal. If I want to look at the background processes also, I can use the ps-e. Then we have the top command. So the basic difference is that top gives real-time view, whereas ps gives a view as in a snapshot. Whenever we give the ps command, at that time it takes a snapshot and tells us about all the information as of that time. And top command gives a live data chart to us. First I will just simply do ps. So you can see it is telling me what are the ps processes being run. One is the bash and second is the ps command which I just ran over here. So these are the processes which I have created using the terminal. But what are the background processes? If I want to have a look at that, what I can do is I can do ps-e. Okay, so here you can see it is giving a list of all the processes running in foreground and in background. So if I want some more detail of these things, what I can do is ps-ef. So it will give more detail about all of those processes. So it is giving me more details like the UID and PPID. So you can use a ps-ef to get more details like this. Let's have a look at the top command. So if I do the top and press enter, so you can see I'm getting a tabular representation of all the processes. Here it is giving me the process ID, user, and all such details. And also this data is keep on getting updated with time because it is real-time data. One more thing what I can do is if I am running any process, I can just get its PID, and using that PID, I can stop a process, I can kill a process, and do other things. Continuing with processes, let's look at how we can kill a process. Let's first understand what does killing a process mean. So if a program is being processed in the computer, that means it is in running state, we can stop that. Let's say we are playing a video and we want to stop that video from playing, we can use the kill command. When we are in UI, we can directly use close it. But when we are in command line, there might be some processes we are unable to close otherwise, and we might need to use the kill command to stop that process from happening. You can kill any kind of program using the kill command. So we can open something using the UI and then stop it using the terminal using kill command. So to do that, what we need is the process ID of that process. So how can we grab the process ID? We can simply PS all the programs which are running in the computer and then grab the process ID and then kill that program. We can use the top command and then there we can search for a process and directly kill it from there also. So we will look at both of those ways. So let's first PS all the programs which are running in the computer. When I simply do PS, so only two programs it will show that I have started, that is the bash, which is this terminal, and second is the PS command which I just ran. So these have already executed. So if I want to get a list of all the other programs, I can do the PSE command. But I want to see a visual impact that if a process is getting killed or not. For that, what I'm going to do is I will simply open a browser window so that it is easier for you to understand how kill command works. I will just make the window smaller. So you can see that this browser is running on this one side. And what I will do is I will just simply do the ps-e command. And it will list out all the processes which are running in this computer right now. Okay, so let's find where we have this browser. So here it is saying the Firefox. So the process ID of Firefox is 7592. So I will simply do the sudo kill and then I will give the process ID 7592. Press enter. You can see it has got killed, and from this side the browser has stopped. It has just gone. Another one way is that if there is a very long list of processes which are running in the computer and we are unable to find where that particular Firefox program is, I am unable to get the PID of that process. So to easily get the process ID of a program, what I can do is ps-e, then I can use the grab and then write the name of the process and it will show me the PID of that process. So I have written ps-e, then I have given the grab command, and inside the quotes I am going to give the name of the process I want to search for. Let's say it is Firefox. So now it has just returned the one PID of the programs which I have searched for using the grab command. So it is not showing the whole list. So I can simply get the process ID over here. Otherwise, if I would have simply given the PSE command, what would have happened is that it would have given me this whole long list. So just by giving the ps-e grep Firefox, what I get is only the process ID of the Firefox program which is running. So it is easier for me to kill this program. Let's do. So what I will do is, and then I will kill this program using this process ID, that is 7917. Press enter. I just gave the wrong process ID. So now you can see that this process has been killed. So as I told you, another way is that we can use the top command and then kill the processes. So let's see how we can kill them using the top command. So we have this Firefox program running over here, and let's do. We will use the top command and list out all the programs which are running. So what I will do is I will scroll and see where the particular Firefox program might be and get the PID of that program. So as you can see, this is a very long list of all the programs which are running. So I have found where the Firefox is running. It is running on PID 8246. How I can kill it? I will simply press the K command. Now I will give the PID of the command of the process I want to kill. 8246. So first I pressed K, and then this bar came over here. In this bar I gave the process ID of the process I want to kill. Then I will press enter. It will just confirm, and then I will again press enter, and then you can see the Firefox program has just exited. Let's see how we can write a program and then run it using the command line. So as a DevOps engineer or as a system administrator, you might need to push codes now and then, and for that you need to know how to do that. It is very simple. So it is just like writing a code in a normal computer. So we will first create a C program, then we will compile it using this simple gcc command, then we will run it using the simple a.out command. So let's see how we can do it. One thing you need to remember it, so C is already recognized language over here, so there is no problem. But you might need to install some libc.developer libraries. So these libraries might be required to run some programs. So if that is the case, please do so. Another thing, if you do not know how to write a program in C, do not worry. I have attached a simple file with this lesson. Just copy paste it and this simple program will run. If you do know how to write a program in C, you can write any program of your choice. I'm just writing a simple program of adding two numbers. You can write a program of hello world. It is very simple. You just have to print a statement. You do whatever you want to do. First, let's create a file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to touch and create a file. Remember, while creating the file, we have to create it with the extension .c. Then only it will be able to recognize that it is a C file and it needs to compile it. So I'm just naming it hello.c. Just created the file. Now you can edit it in any kind of editor of your choice. Okay, so I will simply, so I'm just using the Nano editor. You can use Nano or VI, whatever editor you like. I will enter. So now I'm inside this file. So you have to just write a simple program. You know how to write the code, you can write it. Or you can, what you can do is you can simply copy paste the code which I have already written. It is attached with this lesson. So you can just copy the contents of that file and then just paste it. So in earlier modules, I have already told you how you can copy paste from host machine to the guest machine and from guest to host. If you have enabled it, you would be easily able to do it in a virtual machine while using your normal browser of your computer also. Now next, I'm going to save this file. I will just press on Ctrl X, save it. Now the file has been saved. What is the next step? We need to compile it. How we can compile it? I just have to give GCC, then give space and write the name of the program, hello.c. Next, I need to compile it. So I will simply GCC, then give the name of the file, hello.c, and then press enter. So it is giving an error, maybe because the modules for the library is not installed. So I will simply install them. So the command is sudo apt. First, I will update the computer. This will just take a few seconds or a few minutes. Just wait for it to finish. When it is done, what next you need to do is sudo apt. So it is installing the library C6 packages, which are the developer packages. So the installation is complete. So let's now again try to do the GCC hello.c. So it has compiled the program. Now I simply need to do ./a.out and then press enter. So the program is to add two numbers. It is asking me hello world, enter an integer. I will simply write 20, enter an integer. So it is asking me to enter another integer. I will give 10. It is saying 10 plus 10, 20 plus 10 equals to 30. So it is doing the simple mathematical sum which I wanted to do. So do try it out how you can create a program and then run it using the terminal. As the system admin, we will need to take care of all our servers which we have over there. On the servers, we can have different things, like we can have our company data, we can have databases, and we can also have applications, user applications, web applications, different kinds of things. So in this lecture, what we are going to do is we are going to create and install our own Apache 2 server, and over there we are going to have a web application deployed. A very simple application. We will just deploy a hello world page and see if it works. So simply, first what we are going to do is update and install Apache 2. Then we will see if the Apache 2 is up and running using the systemctl command. And also we will hit that IP in our browser to see if that is up and running. So let's first update our computer. So whenever we are installing something fresh, always update your computer first. So all the packages should be up to date, then only we will install any software. Next is sudo apt install Apache 2. So it will ask me for my permission. I will grant yes, and then it will start installing Apache 2 server. It will not take much long. If you have a slower internet, it might take a little bit longer. Otherwise, it will just take a couple of minutes to install our Apache 2 server. So our Apache server is up and running. So how we can check that is, one thing is we can use the systemctl command to check the status. So the command is sudo systemctl status. So I will simply give sudo systemctl status Apache 2. Enter. So it is saying that Apache 2 server is active, up and running. So if I want to exit this, so it is telling me in real time. So if I want to exit it, I will just simply say Control and then C, and I will be out of this. So another way is that I can hit my IP in my browser and see if it is up and running. So how can I check my IP? I will just simply do IP A, and it will give me my IP. So my IP currently is 192.168.29.199. I can simply just copy my IP, go to my browser and paste it over there. So my browser has come. I will just give the IP, enter, and you can see that the default Apache 2 homepage has come in front of us, and we can simply see to it. So the other things we can do using the systemctl command are, we can restart our system, we can stop our system, and we can start our system. So it is very simple. We just have to do systemctl and then write what we want to do with our server. Let's try to stop our server. So to stop our server, I just have to give sudo systemctl stop Apache 2, then press enter. It has stopped my Apache 2 server. So let's see the status of Apache 2 server. So when I do the status command, so Apache 2 server is there, but it is currently inactive. It is saying it is currently inactive or dead. So let's see what happens when I refresh this page in the browser. So when I refresh, the page has gone because our server is currently inactive. So let's try to start it again. So to start it, first I will exit this, and then I will again give the system start command. Sudo systemctl start Apache 2. So now my system must be up and running. I will just check the status. So you can see it is active and running. It is saying active, running. So let's go in the browser and refresh it again. So you can see the page has come back up. One more thing we can do is we can restart the server. So how does it help if we have made any kind of an update to the server? So whenever a new web page or some new code has been added to the code, I will simply restart it, and within just a few seconds it will be back. So how to do that? I will just have to give restart. So how to do that? I will simply do sudo systemctl restart Apache 2, press enter, and it will be restarted. Okay, so whatever new code we have pushed will be there available for everyone after restarting the server. So we have installed our Apache server. We have also seen how we can start it, restart it, stop it, and how we can access it using the browser with our IP. When we host actual application, we always have a DNS name, and we always update it with the DNS name. It is not secure to directly use your IP, but while testing and running on local machine, you can just use your IP. Never go to a live site with a IP. So that is a basic fact. But now what we are going to do is we are going to change the default page from the Apache default page to our own default page. So what I'm going to do is, let's go to the machine and see. So this is the Apache 2 landing page, which we are seeing over here. This website is also saying that we can go and replace this file inside var www.html/index.html. We can replace it with our own page. Okay, so how we do that? We go to terminal, I change directory, so I cd, then I write the name of the directory where I want to go. It is /var/www/html/enter. So this is the directory where I'm going to ls, and here we have the index.html page. I'm just going to remove this page and put my own page over here. So I will just remove the default page, and I'm going to create a new page. So I will just touch index.html, enter. So it is saying permission denied. I will simply do sudo. I will be able to create the page. Now let's just, so I have entered into the document. Here I am going to write my own code. So this code I am providing to you. If you know how to write your HTML code, you can just write your own web page. Otherwise you can use my code. It is a very basic code. You can just do HTML and write inside of it like hello world. That will also work. You can copy my code also. Everything is fine. You just need not worry about anything. You can go to web and copy some other website code also. It is very simple. So I'm just simply going to paste the code I have written. So this is a little bit of code which I have written. So I'm just going to save this. Now I'm going to start the system. So I'm just going to restart Apache 2 server, press enter. So my Apache 2 server has restarted. Let's go to the browser, refresh the page. So this is the page I have created. Welcome to my page, just a testing landing page. Enjoy your stay over here. Okay, so it is asking what do I want to select over here. Choose your favorite color. So I just can select any of this color. I think my code is a little bit breaking. I need to check and fix it. Wait a minute. This slash should not be here. So this is the final page which we have created. You can refresh it. You can select these things. We have just created some bullet points. You can submit and you can do whatever you want. Create your own page, create your own styles. Try it out. You can do a lot of things, a lot of fun with creating your own websites and your own web pages. Shell scripting. So what is shell scripting? When we have to run a lot of commands in a sequential manner, we write scripts for that. How do these scripts work? So we write them with the extension .sh. By this, the computer knows that it is a script file. So the script is nothing but a sequence of commands which will execute one after the other. So if you want a particular task where we need to write 10 commands and we want to do it every day, if such task is there, we will create script for such tasks. We can also schedule the scripts to be run at a particular time in a server. So it is a very helpful tool to use shell scripts. So how do we write a shell script? We just create a file with the extension .sh. Then the next thing is, whenever we write the file, in the beginning we write hash !/pint/sh. This tells us that it is a shebang file. So hash symbol means the she and the exclamation mark means the bang. So it is the shebang file which is being created. So the computer knows it is a shell script. Okay, so what is the next thing we need to know? So first we will create a file. We can name the file anything and we will have to give the extension .sh. And then while starting the script, we have to give the shebang symbol and then we have to start writing. It is always good to write comments in your files such as we do in the programming. Similarly here also, it is very good to put comments while writing. So to give a comment, you can simply use the hashtag and write any kind of a comment over there. Okay, so let's first write one script and then execute it. So to write a script, as we create any regular file, we have to just create one file. I will just name it test. So our file named test has been created. Now we will open the test file and edit it. So the file has opened. Now I will just write a simple script. So if you want to write, you can write any kind of script. You can just give a simple single line command also, but it is always nicer if you have 2-3 commands over here. So what we can do is we can just echo 1 or 2 things, or what you can do is I have attached a file with this lesson. You just can copy paste that script and you will be able to run a simple shell script. So the first line we have to write hashbang bin bash. So that we have written. After that, you can comment anything, whatever you want. So I am giving to you one file which you can just simply copy and paste. So you can also copy paste this file which I am copy pasting. It's a very simple. So you can also copy paste this simple script which I am using over here. I am first echoing this line where what is your name. Then I am asking it to read input from the user. So it is storing that input in person variable. Then I am printing hello and then I am printing the variable. So if you want to take any input, you can use the read, and to print any thing which you have taken as a variable, you can print it using the dollar symbol. So it is a very simple script. I will just simply save it. Now let's make the file executable. So how can we make the file executable? So we will just use the chmod command, change mode plus X, that is we will add the executable permissions to the test.sh. So we have learned in the previous modules that how we can convert any file into executable file, and we are going to convert it into executable file and then run it. So I have written chmod plus X test.sh, then I will press enter. So now this file has been created as an executable file. Now let's just run the file. So how I can run it? I just have to give /test.sh and then enter. So it is asking me what is my name. I will just give Ankush, press enter. So it is saying hello Ankush. It was a very simple script. You can write other kinds of script also. Let's try to write one more script and see how we can write these kinds of script. So I will name this one new.sh. So I'm creating a new file named new.sh. So I will just write the basic shbash line and then write down my script. I can write any kinds of commands over here. Let's say ls and then present working directory, something like that. I will save this. Now let's try to run this. So first I will need to change its mode. So it is saying the permission is not there. So I will try to do it with sudo. So I have converted it into an executable file. Now let's just execute it. So you can see it is just listing out all these files over here in the first line, and the second line it is just running the other command which was of present working directory. So this way you can have multiple commands added into one file. So let's open the file again, and I have added some more commands of here like the date command, ls l command, and then psef command. So I have added more commands. Let's see if this works. I will save it. Now let's try to run it. So before running, let's create it as an executable file once again. Now I'm running the file. So you can see it is showing this all data. Let's scroll up and see if it did all the operations we have written. So first was the ls command. So it has ls all the folders which were there. Then the present working directory, the home directory of Ankush. Then it is telling today's date and time. Then it is telling details of using the lsl command. And last we have the ps command output also over here. So you also try writing some scripts and run them. So you can do any kind of task over here. You can declare variables, add them, and all those kinds of things also using the scripting. So we just saw how we can install the plugins and how we can share files using the clipboard bidirectionally from the host machine to the guest machine and from guest machine to the host machine. Now I'm going to tell you how you can have external USBs connected to your virtual machines. So when you are using virtual machine, you can directly connect any kind of peripheral, let's say a external SSD or a pen drive or a mouse to the virtual machine. Okay. So most of the time, all the hardware which is of the base machine is directly detected by the host machine, but any kind of USB device which we have plugged in, it will not. So for that, we need to download one plugin. So what we need to do is we need to go to Oracle's website. So I will go to virtualbox.org. On VirtualBox website, what I will do is I will go on downloads. Here you will see where we can download the VirtualBox, and beneath it you will be able to see this option, VirtualBox 6.1.25 Oracle VM VirtualBox extension pack. So here there will be different extension packs for these different versions. So you choose the extension pack for the version you have downloaded. If you are downloading it in the future, there might be newer version, so keep that in mind. So this is specially for USB 2.0 and USB 3.0 compatibilities, so that we can connect those kinds of devices. So what we need to do is we just need to click over here. It will start downloading these packages. Let's download it. Okay, so to make these USB devices work, what you need to do is one is to download this from here, this extension pack, And also what you need to do is you need to go to the virtual machine you want to do it into. Like I have over here a virtual machine of Windows. I need to open that machine. So this machine will load. In this machine, as I told you just before this, how you need to have the plugins. So as you can see, I have this Windows machine over here. So here, as already discussed, we need to first install this using the ISO. So first we need to mount the image and then we need to install it. So similar processes for Windows also. So what we need to do is we need to first mount the ISO and then install the guest add-ons as we did for the Mint image already in a previous video. So it is a simple step. That is why I'm not going over it again. Okay. So now what I'm doing is I'm installing the extension pack. I will click on install and then it will ask me if I agree with all the terms and conditions. If I'll just agree with them, you might need to give the password. So I have given the password. It is saying it is failing because of some reason. So let's check what is the reason. So I have clicked on details and it is showing me a lot of things. So why the error might be. Okay. So it is saying that I am trying to install 16.1.26 version, whereas I am having version 6.1.22. So this is extension pack for .26 and I am having .22. So guys, beware about this. You have to install it for the correct version. So what I will do is I can just update the VirtualBox software itself. So what you can do is you can click on VirtualBox and here the second option is for check for updates. So it will directly take us to its web page. So it is, I think, checking for the new version and it will download the new version. Okay, so I will let it update and then come back to you. So now I'm reinstalling these extensions. So I'm just accepting all those things, giving the password. So the extension pack was installed successfully. So okay, now let's go to the settings of this machine. And now what I can do is I will click on ports and then click on USB. So now you can see earlier there was only option for USB 1.1 and now we have option for USB 1.1, 2 and also USB 3. So I will simply select USB 3 and what this will allow me, it will allow me to have various devices like my SanDisk external SSD or my USB pen drives to be accepted into the virtual machine. Now how that is helpful? It is helpful for transferring data, to attaching different kinds of peripherals. So I have logged into the Windows machine again and what I'm going to do now is, so you can do it in any machine. So what I will do now is I will click on devices and then click on USB. So then I will click on USB settings. So I have already enabled USB 3.0. When the machine is running, you cannot switch between USB 3.0 and 1. But what you can do is you can add devices over here and you can remove devices from here also. So what you can do is you can click on this plus button and all the peripherals which you will be having in your computer will be listed over here. So currently I'm on a Mac machine, so it is all the like my camera, my trackpad and everything it is recognizing as an external device. So most of them are already there. So like I'm giving the input of keyboard and all those things. But let's say if I want to attach an external drive, so what I will do is I have here a physical USB drive. I'm just connecting with this computer. So what I will do is I will try to add it over here. I will click over here and here it is saying generate 2.0 something. So this is my USB drive. I will click over here and I will click on OK. Now when I go into the files and then I click on this PC, I'm seeing only 2 drives. I want to see the pen drive over here. So one more thing I need to do is I need to go to my main computer and here if I have a USB drive showing over here, I should eject it from there. Why? Because it cannot be connected in both the computers. So if it is not there, it should show over here. Okay, so I will again click on input and then here from I will click on devices and then go to USB and then I will try to mount this generic USB drive over here. Okay, so when I clicked over devices and selected the device I wanted to mount over here, so it felt like I'm mounting it over here. Okay, physically. So that is how it feels. So when I will open this file, so I can access all these files over here. If I want, I can copy them over here, keep them here, and do anything over here. If I physically remove it from my main computer, it will disappear from here also. Let's again attach it in my physical computer. So now you can see it auto detects over here, but not in my main computer. Why? Because I have configured going into devices, into USB, I have configured it. So everything which I will select over here will be directly, shown over here. Okay. So if I want to use it in the main computer, not here, I can just simply remove it from here. This way, using the USB drive also, I can transfer data from the virtual machine to the host machine, and from host machine to the virtual machine. So you can do these kinds of things also. Okay, I think this was helpful because a lot of people when working on virtual machines get into trouble that how we can transfer data from the virtual machine to the main machine, from the main to the virtual, from an external storage device, how to connect that. So I have tried to solve all those issues in this video. Now when we are in VMware, the similar thing is there. You can attach USB drives there also, so there is not much problem. But if you face any kind of a problem over there, you can ask a question to me directly. I will try to answer your question as fast as possible, or you can try to Google always. So Google helps a lot of times if anyone else is not there to help. Okay, so feel free to ask questions also. There is no problem. Our team will try to connect to you and answer your questions as fast as possible.